Haywook's family becomes the center of a growing social media and legal controversy. His post shows a family gathering at his mother's 60th birthday party, giving insight into his personal life and connections. The comments under the post hint at familiarity with some individuals, possibly tying them to the current controversy. Bobae notified So-eun that the team leader just met with the HR team regarding the internal leaker issue and action is being taken. As pressure mounts, a reporter named Park Nam-hyuk from Fact Check confronts her with a serious accusation. Did she accept a donation under the false pretense of marriage? This leaves her stunned and speechless. So-eun looked flustered, not sure how to answer the reporter. The situation escalates when a security officer steps in as tensions rise. As the tension surrounding the female lead escalates due to the scandal, security personnel step in to remove the investigative reporter, Park Nam-hyuk, from the premises. The security announced that if the reporter harasses their employees for reasons not related to their duties, the company can report him to the police for obstruction of business. Tae-jun appeared mysteriously and intimidatingly, dressed sharply in black suit with striking eyes. He silently observes the situation and commands immediate respect. His presence alone is enough to quiet the room and shift the atmosphere. The reporter was immediately escorted out by the company's security. Tae-jun voiced to the HR leader, "The company atmosphere isn't very desirable, both inside and out." The HR leader is visibly nervous, sweating under pressure as he awkwardly tries to cooperate. The HR leader, now anxious, rushes to appease him by saying that they will soon have security training by department. Tae-jun ordered for HR to provide it offline instead of in an online lecture format, and he will also attend the training. Everything from start to finish. The HR leader anxiously nodded, yes, while wiping the sweat off his face. Meanwhile, So-eun is stunned when she catches a glimpse of Tae-jun walking away. It feels like something just happened in an instant. He turns back momentarily, giving her a knowing nod while holding up his phone, possibly hinting for her to look at her phone. After receiving a reassuring gesture, she checked her phone and saw a message from him. "Don't worry, we are keeping a close watch." She was left flustered but comforted. She interprets his actions as thoughtful and even heartwarming, hinting at a growing emotional connection or admiration toward him. Haywook's mother was seen obsessively scrolling on her phone. Her fixation on updates, coins, and delegation alerts suggests she's closely monitoring her stock investment situation, but her screen kept getting interrupted by incoming calls, which annoyed her. Her husband questions her presence at home immediately, alerting her to ask why isn't he at his golf appointment. Her husband stated that he couldn't go even though he wanted to. Outside, a group of photographers and reporters, possibly tipped off, gather near the building, signaling heightened public interest in the incident. The couple rushes to the balcony, excited by what they see below. To them, it feels like they're witnessing a drama unfold in real time. Haywook's mother questioned if her husband got drunk somewhere and caused trouble. The husband retorted unhappily, "An accident." Does she think reporters would come all the way just for something like that? She wonders if Haywook, her son, would know anything about what's happening. Back at home, an older woman experiences a major crisis. Her internet has stopped working. Frustrated and clueless, she calls out to her husband to fix it. They both panic as she can't check her beloved coin updates. Unable to resolve it themselves, they text their daughter Hae-jean for help, asking her to fix the internet and check the coin status. Meanwhile, Hae-jean is fast asleep on the couch, her phone buzzing with 30 missed calls and a new message. Startled awake, she flips off the couch in a dramatic panic, confused by the chaos. Just as she tries to gather herself, her husband stands before her fuming. Still groggy, she sarcastically asks if he's already off work, clearly unaware of what's been going on. He's clearly upset and confronts her about a situation involving a reporter at his in-laws' house. His frustration boils over, demanding answers. She's confused, asking, "What reporter?" And her expression quickly turns to shock as she realizes something serious is happening. He told her that her parents' personal information was spread everywhere right now. Even the reporters are calling him. The donation his brother-in-law's ex-girlfriend made to his mother-in-law, and then her family left that woman out in the cold. It's all been exposed, and it's chaos. Hae-jean, who previously dismissed the drama as insignificant, stumbles upon a shocking online headline on her phone. Thieves who went to K Electronics, full profile summary. To her horror, the article exposes her entire family, complete with names, roles, and relationships, labeling them as frauds tied to a scandal involving a company, liver transplant, and deceit. She is visibly shaken, clutching her phone thinking, no wonder she's been getting so many calls today. Ever since she took out a loan, she's been getting so many spam calls that she just assumed it was that. Then she saw a message from her mother. Hey Jean, the internet isn't working. Can you take a look at the coin? Despite the looming scandal, and being questioned by her husband about their son, Hyungwoo, how was their son supposed to attend school? Jean brushed off her husband's concern and told him to stop fussing over nothing. Even if it goes viral on the internet, everyone will lose interest in a few days, whatever. The important thing is money. After all, she sat down in front of the computer and started checking to see how much the money invested has increased while she was sleeping. Clicking away, she nervously waits to see the results. Finally, her face lights up in relief, thinking her coin value should have skyrocketed as it was previously 1,510,201. Just as Jean is celebrating her digital coin balance reaching over 1.5 million won, disaster strikes. A news alert pops up. KKA declares bankruptcy. Coin KK 368 plummets 99% overnight. Her confidence melts into horror. In disbelief, she thinks, it must be an error, but the truth sets in fast. Her investment has crashed. It was definitely 1.5 billion. Jean spirals into panic, yelling at her phone, questioning why her mother won't answer the phone at times like this. Confused, her husband asked why she was shouting. Without answering, she demanded her husband to drive her to her mother's place. She rushes to confront her parents, demanding to know if they still have any money left. Her wide-eyed desperation baffles her father and the other man, both puzzled by her erratic behavior. The mother, however, is calm and smiles sweetly, greeting Jean warmly and immediately mentioning about the reporters surrounding the house. She was at her wit's end about the whole situation. Jean tries to explain the seriousness of the situation, but the mother is oblivious to the financial devastation, still fixated on checking her coin data. Jin's husband stated that there was no reporter when they arrived. Jean questioned loudly if her mother took the money. Confused, the mother asked, withdrawing money? What does that mean? She insisted that her mother must have taken out the money. Her pathetic behavior baffled her father and husband. The mother looked at the coin investment. Earlier her internet wasn't working, so she couldn't check, but now it is working. On the screen they both saw total assets, 535,123 won. Profit is minus 1,122,899,443, with a yield of minus 99.99%. They both looked horrified, questioning the reality, wanting each other's assurance that it was false. As the truth becomes undeniable, the woman's mom suddenly collapses, clutching her face in distress. The father and partner rush to help her while the woman trembles, then falls to her knees, crying out in despair, "My help!" It's clear that she feels betrayed, overwhelmed, and utterly helpless. The room descends into complete chaos. Family members panic, the phone drops, and the mother is emotionally crushed. She fell down and fainted, while Jean dropped to her knees, unable to overcome the devastating news. The father begs Jean for help, while her husband seems hesitant and confused, unsure what role he should play in this emotional and financial disaster. Then he saw a phone on the floor and decided to pick it up, wondering, whose phone was it? Feeling flustered and not sure what to do, he decided to pick up the phone. Then he saw the coin investment on the screen, how badly it crashed. Yang Hae-wook, a sharply dressed professional, is taking a taxi feeling defeated. Despite looking composed, his mind is a mess, stressed about his fiancée Hyunjin preparing to switch jobs, and everything seems to be going wrong that day. While trying to focus on his work in the back of the cab, he gets an unexpected call from Hyunjin, who had previously told him not to contact her because she was on vacation. Confused but concerned, he answers. To his shock, Hyunjin coldly tells him, "Let's pretend we never got engaged." Her words hit him like a storm. Bewildered, Hae-wook stares at his phone in disbelief, unable to comprehend what's happening. She goes on to mock him for thinking a fancy ring could hold any meaning. even bringing up an embarrassing incident with a fake ring he had once given her. Her tone is sharp and dismissive. She leaves him with a stinging remark that she left the ring in his office and he can do whatever he wants with it. Crushed and desperate to understand, Hae-wook pleads to talk in person. He even reminds her that he ended his previous relationship with Han So-eun just to be with her. But Hyunjin's response is cutting. She tells him that was his decision, motivated by his affection for her and her family, and she takes no responsibility for his sacrifice. After Hyunjin coldly ends their engagement over the phone, Hae-wook is left completely rattled. She declares that she's quitting her job at the same law firm out of embarrassment for dating someone like him, and even says she'll be changing her phone number, cutting him off completely. Hae-wook yells in frustration, desperately trying to stop her, but the call ends abruptly. His emotional outburst inside the taxi is so intense that the driver, startled by the screaming, assumes he must be going through a seriously tough time. When he arrives at court, Hae-wook is visibly drained and disheveled. His performance in the trial suffers badly. He admits it's the worst he's ever done. His thoughts keep drifting back to Hyunjin's sudden breakup, and to make matters worse, he keeps getting phone calls from unknown numbers during the trial, throwing him off even more. Confused by the volume of calls, he wonders if his number was leaked to a spam company. When he hesitantly turns his phone back on, the buzzing immediately starts again, terrifying him, until he sees it's from my beloved mother. He lets out a sigh of relief, but relief is short-lived. His mom bombards him with questions. Where is Hyunjin? Why isn't she answering? Frustrated, Hae-wook tells her that they broke up. His mother is shocked and furious. She demands he apologize and get back with Hyunjin immediately. In a whirlwind of emotion, he accuses his mother of being clingy and driving Hyunjin away by constantly calling her. The mother was about to faint again by Hae-wook's accusation. Hae-jin grabbed the phone and questioned if Hae-wook really broke up with Hyunjin. The father consoled the mother loudly that the commotion caused Hae-wook to instinctively move his head away from the phone. What's happening? Hae-jin yelled. Mom fell down again. Hurry and come here. The mother laid down with a towel on her forehead, looking unwell. Hae-wook finally arrived home and questioned why they didn't take his mother to the hospital. The father used Hae-wook's arrival to nudge the mother to wake up, though she wasn't responsive. Restless Hae-jin questioned, Where's Choi Hyunjin? Hae-wook answered irritably that they have broken up. Hae-jin questioned, Why did he break up with her? He told her off because that was not her problem. Then, the brother-in-law grabbed Hae-wook's attention as he handed out the phone towards Hae-wook. Look here. Hae-wook suddenly realized that his brother-in-law was present as well. The brother-in-law mumbled, It seems you are as clueless as I am. You should read this first. Hae-wook took the phone and saw the scandals online. He knew who did it. His face mood darkened, and he questioned if his sister wrote that article. She tried denying, but unable to find any excuse. Hae-wook reprimanded. He could tell just by looking at it. She wrote it. She posted something similar before to ruin a store that wronged her in the past. Hae-jin reasoned unconfidently that she was just trying to help because mom was having a hard time dealing with him. He was getting all drunk and thinking about So-eun. At this point, the mother is starting to come around. She finally sat up and rubbed her forehead when she overheard her children arguing. Hae-wook yelled angrily, So you and her have been acting like that all this time? How dare you even keep calling yourself my mother? I've done my best for you, and this is how you all repay me. Then he walked away from the group. Hae-jin still refused to acknowledge her wrongdoing. She snitched, Mom, did you see that? He's acting out again, just like when he was brat. The mom followed with cries. It seems all my efforts raising that brat were in vain. The father looked disgusted and uttered, It's clear who Hae-wook got his attitude from, hinting that it was from the mother. Then a phone from Hyunjin came in. This phone call lit up the atmosphere. The mother didn't hesitate. She picked up the phone and answered cheerfully, Hello? Hyunjin, how have you been? Where are you? Hae-wook said you two broke up? It's not true, right? Hyunjin called her, Ms. Yang, that they broke up. She's calling because she forgot something. She coldly reminds the Yang family that she once gave them 1 million KRW. And since they're now strangers, she demands it back. She even offers to send her account number for a same-day deposit. Caught off guard and financially distressed, the panic spiraled into a meltdown, revealing she invested 1 billion won into cryptocurrency based on Hyunjin's prior suggestions, only for the coins to crash. She sobs, fearing she may lose her home, begging to know Hyunjin's location. But Hyunjin remains unfazed. She remarks how dangerous it is to trust others so easily, especially those who promise love and family in exchange for something as serious as organ donation. The family is left stunned, especially since this is a direct reference to her own past liver donation to their mother. The mother attempts to end the call abruptly, but Haejin tries to salvage the situation, suggesting a calm face-to-face talk. She confesses that both she and her mother borrowed money from loan sharks, totaling a debt of 2.2 billion KRW due the next month. Although she says she's not asking Hyunjin to get back with Hae-wook, she begs for help fixing the situation, blaming Hyunjin's earlier financial advice. Hyunjin responds with cold, unrelenting laughter. She mocks them for being a terrifying family, ridiculing the absurdity of their behavior. Her words cut deep. "Thanks for the funny story. I'll forgive your mom's debt just because I haven't laughed this hard in ages. Consider it my last goodwill." The call ends with Haejin frozen in shock, her father utterly confused, and Hyunjin ends her scathing call to the Yang family with a final jab. "I'm sure you'll be busy getting that 2.2 billion won from now on. Well then, do your best." With a calm yet decisive tap, she hangs up. Her tone shifts as she turns to the middle-aged couple across from her. With a soft smile, she thanks them. "Thank you for your help too, Mom and Dad." They are Hana's kind and supportive parents, reassuring her not to worry. They talk about her upcoming return to the U.S., where she plans to continue her studies and join the family's law firm. The conversation is warm and caring, an emotional contrast to the chaos she just left behind. As they talk, there's a moment of lighthearted banter. The father jokes about how bad he is at acting and wonders if her biological parents would scold him if they'd seen the show. The mother playfully suggests maybe she should audition as an actress. What follows is a heartfelt moment of reflection and gratitude between a daughter and the acting parents who stood by her through one of the most painful chapters of her life. Flashbacks show how they were initially hesitant when Hyunjin proposed staging a confrontation with Hannah's ex-fiancé's family. Despite the emotional toll and embarrassment, they agreed to act, because they couldn't bear to see Hyunjin face it all alone. It was their daughter who died because of Hae-wook and his family's deceivement. "We tried our best to play our role, even though it wasn't easy," her father confesses. Hana's mother adds that seeing the Yangs in person nearly made her break down in tears. But she held it in. "Hyunjin thanked them sincerely. Knowing you were there reassured me. Thank you for everything." The moment turns even more tender when Hana's father speaks about his late daughter, Hannah, the girl Hyunjin had presumably stepped in for. Tearfully, he says, "If she were still here, I would have loved to take her to a fancy restaurant like this." Tears flow down his face as he mourns. "I miss you so much, my little Hannah." At the airport, Hyunjin discussed the success of their operation. A talented person with a lot of money and good connections is indeed the best. She never thought he could cut off both the internet and mobile data. The other person stated that he had to be sure of everything and then questioned what about the cryptocurrency matter? Hyunjin reported that her real dad will handle it since the clients are well known. Meanwhile, the sharply dressed Taejun wished her success and that he will take care of it from here. Back at the office, Bo Baisher left work first while So-eun finished up the day's work. She receives a farewell message from someone named Hyunji. The message reveals Hyunji is leaving for the United States, wishing her well and suggesting they meet in the future. The news triggers a wave of reflection. They first met with Hae-wook's work group for drinks. So-eun begins to express regret about her feelings toward Hyunji. Despite past misunderstandings, she starts realizing that Hyunji may have pushed people away on purpose, possibly out of self-protection. As she drinks, she reflects on her own flaws and past judgments. She writes a heartfelt message to Hyunji, expressing that she has let go of the past and hopes Hyunji can too. She ends her message with a cheerful, fighting sticker, a small but sincere gesture of reconciliation. Han So-eun is seen sitting alone at her desk, clearly deep in thought. She's eager to talk, as she has many things weighing on her mind. Suddenly, her phone starts buzzing with a call from an unknown number. She hesitates, uncertain whether to answer it, especially since the director assured her that all her personal information had been taken down and that reporters wouldn't be able to contact her anymore. Despite the hesitation, a thought strikes her. Could this be a message from someone related to her father? She eventually answers, and a sharp, accusing voice greets her, asking if she was the one who spread her mother's information online. Shocked, Soon listens as the caller reveals herself to be the sister of Hae-wook. The caller presses on, blaming Soon and shaming her, questioning if someone like her, presumably from a scandalous or controversial background, deserves a normal life or to be welcomed by any family. The verbal attack is harsh, but Soon remains composed. She quietly realizes the truth and calmly responds, identifying the caller as the one who posted the harmful content in the first place. After receiving a threatening call, Soon firmly responds by warning the caller that she has recorded the conversation and will take legal action if they continue to harass her. Despite being mocked with a sarcastic reference to a lawyer sibling, she stands her ground. Hae-jin accuses So-eun of ruining things by posting a statement online, but So-eun confidently states that it was Hae-jin who brought it upon themselves by going public. So-eun blocks the contact and reflects on her past. She reflects on her past relationship with Yang Hee-wook, remembering that despite everything, he at least treated her like a person. Aware that her past may cause others to judge her, she chooses to face the consequences head-on. Back at work, assistant manager Han So-eun runs into Chief Jang, who stayed behind and hoped to leave with So-eun. Nervous but determined, he awkwardly asks if she's free that weekend, implying he has something to say. To her surprise, he blurts out that he wants to go on a date. She panics, flustered by his directness, could not find a response to Chief Jang's sudden, heartfelt confession. Her face flushed as she stuttered, oh, which sent both into a comedic spiral of shock and awkwardness. He doesn't know when it started, but he thinks he has liked her a long time ago. So-eun considers revealing she already has a boyfriend, but is swept up by his sincere praise, calling her pretty, kind, and diligent. She struggles with how to respond. Before the moment can go any further, her expression shifts as she hears a familiar voice. Supervisor Jang Eun-pyo has something to say. Tae-jun's ominous tone and shadowy demeanor interrupt the scene. He tells So-eun to leave, emphasizing the end of the workday. With confusion and unease, she exits, and her colleague, still reeling from the confession, nervously says goodbye. He pulls rank and sends So-eun away, cutting the romantic tension short. Afterward, he requests a private conversation with Section Chief Jang. Inside Tae-jun's office, the mood shifts. He looked menacingly at Chief Jang with cryptic words like embrace and unexpectedly called him Sengu, a cute nickname, confusing Chief Jang further. However, their conversation turns sincere when Tae-jun expresses gratitude for Supervisor Jang's for taking on the TF team work. He understood that Chief Jang Eun-pyo has the longest experience there. Having Supervisor Jang around is very helpful since his return to Korea. He continued to praise Jang Eun-pyo, to which Eun-pyo replied with assurance that he will work hard. Jang Eun-pyo finds himself caught off guard when the charismatic and reserved director, who had been acting a bit strangely, suddenly declares he wants to share a secret with him. Initially panicking and assuming it's a major corporate secret, Jang braces himself for something serious, only to be completely blindsided when the director calmly reveals, Han So-eun is my girlfriend. Jang's brain nearly short-circuits processing the revelation. Chief Han So-eun, who Jang deeply respects and possibly has feelings for, is dating the director? He's baffled, confused, and slightly heartbroken. The director, meanwhile, happily confirms it with sparkles in his eyes, and even offers phone messages as proof to clear Jang's disbelief. The director shares this information with trust and sincerity, asking Jang to keep it confidential, since So-eun is uncomfortable with workplace gossip, especially after a disruption caused by her ex showing up at the office. Jang, overwhelmed but honored, promises to protect the secret and act professionally. In the end, the director thanks Jang for liking So-eun and emphasizes looking forward to working well with her as colleagues. Jang is left speechless, still trying to untangle his feelings, but with a clearer understanding of his role in the triangle. The bus rattles gently in the background, empty and dimly lit. So-eun sits alone, quietly staring down at her phone, her posture weary but her expression soft, lost in thought. On her phone screen, a message glows. I'll make things clear with Manager Jang. Once we finish, I'll take you home. Beneath the screen, So-eun's anxious thoughts swirl as she wonders how she'll be able to face manager Jang after everything. As the city lights blur through the bus window, So-eun gazes out, her phone still in hand. Her expression is distant and reflective. It's been such a long day, and weariness clings to her like a second skin. A social media post reveals a photo of a smiling group. Two individuals are circled, one of them Haewook. The caption reflects So-eun's unease. Her personal story has now become internet gossip, exposed for strangers to judge. Despite the turmoil, So-eun finds unexpected comfort at work. Her co-workers embrace her warmly, surrounding her with a sense of support she didn't anticipate. Thinking of earlier, So-eun stands alone in a large, cold hallway, a phone pressed to her ear. Her silhouette is small beneath the tall windows as she processes harsh words from someone in Haewook's family. In a quieter moment, another memory emerges. Chief Jang Eun-pyo nervously scratching his head as he confesses romantic feelings to her. The moment is awkward, sincere, and unexpected. Back on the bus, So-eun looks ahead with gentle disbelief in her eyes. Could everything that's happened, the pain, the support, the confession, be just a dream? A bus announcement calls out the next stop, startling So-eun back to the present. Her eyes widen as she reacts quickly, possibly realizing she's nearly missed her destination. Walking down a hallway alone, So-eun reflects on her worth. She knows she's a good person, but doubts begin to creep in. Is that enough for someone to want to marry her? She isn't sure, and that uncertainty lingers heavily in her heart. She quietly slips off her shoes and steps into her home, weighed down by the emotional heaviness of the day. Her thoughts dwell on him, wondering if he'll one day meet someone else and find his forever with her. Lying on her bed, she stares at the ceiling with distant eyes. A single question lingers in her heart. When that moment comes, when he's happy with someone else, could she truly wish them well? The room is silent until the sudden chime of the doorbell startles her. She stiffens slightly, unsure of what, or who, to expect. Springing up in surprise, she hears a familiar voice from the other side of the door. It's me, Kim Tae-jun. The sound of his name sends a rush of emotions through her. As she opens the door, Kim Tae-jun stands there, frowning slightly. His tone is mildly scolding. Come on, don't you think you're opening the door too quickly? With a soft, nervous smile, she responds quietly. I did it because I heard your voice. Her words are sincere, though her eyes betray her flustered state. He presses gently. What if it was someone imitating my voice? She waves it off with an embarrassed chuckle, brushing his concern aside. But he remains serious, urging her to be cautious. His demeanor softens, and he extends a hand toward her. Let's go, he says gently. I'll take you to eat something delicious. His voice carries warmth and care. Her eyes widen with surprise, heart fluttering. His unexpected gesture stirs something tender within her. In a close-up, her eyes glisten with emotion, her cheeks flushed. She slowly reaches out and lets her hand rest gently in his, the moment charged with unspoken feelings. Under a cascade of flower petals, a pair of hands gently intertwine. The announcement echoes through the venue. The bride and groom are now entering, signaling the start of their special moment. Dressed in an elegant white gown and holding a delicate bouquet of flowers, the bride, So-eun, walks down the aisle, hand in hand with the groom. Standing close to her groom, she smiles gently as if trying to preserve the serenity of the moment amidst the crowd's attention. Suddenly, the scene shifts into darkness and dread. The groom's face fades into shadow. Words of betrayal flash violently behind him. The once joyful moment is now haunted by a painful truth. Outside, the wind scatters petals through the night, illuminated by a streetlight. Walking hand in hand down a quiet street, Tae-jun looks over at So-eun and suggests they stop by a restaurant he saw earlier. With traffic congested, he proposes they walk. She agrees, smiling softly at him. Though she tries to maintain her composure, her expression betrays her unease. Still holding her hand, he admits he stepped in earlier because he didn't think she could respond properly. She's startled by his comment. Realizing he had overheard the entire conversation, she wished to keep private. He turns to her with gentle curiosity and asks how she feels now. Specifically, how she feels after hearing the other man's confession. She is caught off guard, uncertain of how to answer as the weight of recent emotions settles over her. He playfully warns her, flashing a soft smile while sparkling effects surround him. His teasing words, "Be careful. I'm going to start sulking if you answer wrong," lighten the mood, but a shadowed version of himself behind him hints at mock seriousness. Caught off guard, Soon stares at Tae-jun with wide eyes and sweat trickling down her face. Her internal panic is evident as she realizes she might be in trouble depending on how she responds. As she stammers, trying to find the right words, she admits she was initially shocked and a little sad. The man observes her reaction, commenting dryly that she seems to have just remembered that part, leaving her speechless. Trying to ease the tension, he advises her to act normally and not behave awkwardly around the other man. Meanwhile, she looks puzzled and surprised by how much he seems to know. Still calm and composed, he reassures her that if she pretends like nothing happened, the other guy likely won't bring it up either. His logic is clear, and his confidence is unwavering. With a sly, almost mischievous smile, he adds, "At least if he's smart enough." His tone carries a subtle warning while maintaining his charismatic demeanor. Trailing behind Tae-jun, So-eun is overwhelmed with confusion. A grand restaurant dining area is revealed, glittering with chandeliers and elegance. Plates of exquisite food are served, indicating a formal gathering or celebration. The well-dressed Suk-hee smiles warmly at the team. She explains that though she intended to let them off early, she wanted to first treat them to something delicious, apologizing for taking up more of their time. The team graciously reassures her of their appreciation. A secretary gazes in awe around the luxurious space, clutching her phone in excitement. Asking shyly for permission to take photos, she can hardly contain her admiration. Her thoughts reveal she sees this as the ultimate dream job for secretaries in Korea. She could not believe she is working for such a great director who treats her employees so well, while maintaining an appropriate professional line. Even the people in her team are kind and have a ton of things she could learn from. Not even mentioning the generous salary and constant praise and encouragement she received. She is going to work there until she dies. The newly recruit cried tears of joy as she ate. Her thought was interrupted by a firm and sharp superior. "Secretary Lee, don't you have something to share with the director?" The newly recruited secretary, Lee, handed an iPad with charts and information on it. It was the summary of the issue at the central headquarters of K Electronics Customer Services. Director Suk-hee's eyes lit up. "Isn't that the place of Kim Tae-jun in charge of?" She looked through the info and guessed they were able to solve the issue well since the notice has gone quiet already. She cannot believe her nephew Tae-jun was able to take care of that employee while having such a busy schedule. He did pretty good at cleaning the rumors, but it's sad that an employee had to get caught in such a horrendous scandal. She asked the secretary what the position of the employee involved was. If the employee was in her team, she would have treated the employee to a meal. Secretary Lee quickly pulled up the info, as she has the person's contact in her list. Although Director Suk-hee kindly refused to spend more time on it, Secretary Lee mentioned her name, Manager Han So-eun, Mobile Services Team. Stunned, Director Suk-hee asked for the name again. Secretary Lee reiterates proudly, "She's a manager, Han So-eun, from the Mobile Customer Services Team." Suk-hee looked up at the Secretary Lee and softly repeated the name she had just learned, Manager Han So-eun. Her voice carried a tinge of recognition and realization. 20 years in the distant past, under a canopy of autumn leaves rustling in the evening breeze, a voice echoed desperately through the chilly air. "Han So-eun, hurry up and come here," someone shouted, urgency carried with the wind beyond the gates. In the glow of the autumn dusk, little girl clutched a plush backpack and resisted leaving, tugging on the arm of a man beside her. "Aunt, I don't want to leave," she pleaded tearfully. The man gently hushed her, apologizing to the poised Suk-hee. Suk-hee watched with concern. The child's sad words weighed heavily, complaining that her father was coming home late again. On the little backpack, there was a label, sunny notepad. The name Han So-eun was clearly written. The voice of the young girl returned, expressing her innocent intentions. She had wanted to fix her friend's toy and play with him that evening. Tears streamed down the little girl's face as she cried out in anguish, calling for Tae-jun Appa. Her voice trembled, soaked with sorrow and longing, as she clutched her yellow backpack, heartbroken by the separation. Inside the home, Suk-hee stood silently in front of a dresser adorned with family portraits and vases of fresh lilies. Sunlight streamed gently across the room as she picked up a framed photograph, her face reflecting nostalgia and unspoken sorrow. She studied the photograph closely, her fingers delicately brushing against the image of a young man in a brown vest. Startled by a sudden voice, the woman turned around. A young boy with bright blue eyes and a warm smile greeted her politely. "Good morning, Aunt," he said cheerfully, his youthful energy lighting up the quiet morning. Aunt Sook, he smiled gently and walked toward him, ruffling his hair affectionately. She expressed her surprise at how early he had risen and remarked on how quickly he was growing up. Little Tae-jun sheepishly clarified the real reason for waking up so early. With a serious expression, he explained that his grandfather had asked him to have breakfast together. Sook-hee's face shifted to mild surprise as she looked down at Tae-jun, processing his words. Her raised hand froze momentarily, and her expression softened with both understanding and curiosity. With a small smile, she suggested they head to the dining room together since she had also been planning to eat before work. He nodded in agreement, responding with a shy but firm yes. The two entered the dining room where the grandfather sat at the head of the table, calmly reading the newspaper. He acknowledged their presence with a brief greeting, surprised but pleased to see them arrive together. She noticed Tae-jun is now sitting on the seat that her brother once sat. Tae-jun sits at the breakfast table with his head slightly bowed. His expression is somber as he quietly places his hand on the surface. Sook-hee's father asked if she's leaving for a business trip tomorrow. She replies casually that she'll return next week. Her father told her to eat well since she will not get to eat Korean food regularly due to her travels. She looks down with a conflicted expression, a bead of sweat forming on her temple. She begins to realize something unsettling. An array of side dishes is neatly arranged on the dining table. She reflects internally, recognizing that all of the food has been made to suit only her father's preferences. A flashback reveals Tae-jun's mother and secretary Song Moon-kyung in a cooking session. Tae-jun's mother expresses surprise at his picky eating habits, while Moon-kyung instructs that vegetables need to be cut into small pieces. It's a playful yet revealing scene titled Secretary Song's Master Class to fit the taste of Tae-jun. Back in the present, Sook-hee watches attentively as a large bowl of vegetables is brought to the table. She seems unsure, curious about how Tae-jun will respond to the food. Tae-jun leans forward and takes a bite of one of the leafy green side dishes using his chopsticks. The moment is tense, suggesting a break from his usual picky habits. She watches Tae-jun closely, chopsticks still in her hand, her mouth slightly parted in surprise. She seems to be in disbelief at what she just witnessed. Later, Sook-hee stepped outside, talking on the phone. She tells the person to let her know if they can't find a proper date and agrees to leave the decision in their hands, her tone calm but purposeful. Under the clear morning sky, she stares at her phone in shock and confusion. The dense schedule left by her brother overwhelms her, and she silently wonders how he ever managed such a demanding life, especially having to raise Tae-jun. Remembering earlier that morning, Tae-jun tells her that his grandfather invited him to breakfast. After breakfast, she hears him coughing violently in the bathroom. Peeking through the door, she witnessed Tae-jun stand hunched over a sink, gagging uncontrollably. His face flushes red as he struggles to steady himself, tears forming in his eyes from the strain. She watches him from afar, her heart aching. Her gaze turns somber and filled with quiet realization. Despite everything expected of him, she reflects on the harsh truth. Tae-jun is just 10 years old. Sook-hee is suddenly startled by a loud voice shouting, I don't want to." Turning sharply, she clutches her phone in confusion, her expression mixed with alarm and curiosity. Walking briskly between tall hedges, Sook-hee recognizes the voice she heard. She mutters to herself that it sounded like Tae-jun, surprised, as it's unlike him to raise his voice. She hurries toward the sound, and a sense of shock that the quiet, reserved Tae-jun who acted like an adult could have that expression. So-eun, cheerful and carefree, puckers her lips and reaches out playfully while declaring, "Moi, I'm a kissing ghost." Her innocence lights up the scene, completely unaware of what's to come. Tae-jun reacts with alarm and fear, his cheeks flushed as he shouts, "Stay away, you pervert." His eyes widen and his body recoils in panic, overwhelmed by the girl's sudden approach, though his every action loved her company. Suk-hee, now witnessing the confrontation from a distance, gasps and covers her mouth in shock. Her eyes stretch wide as she watches the chaos unfold, unable to process what she just heard. There was a crumpled note addressed to Taejun, reading, "Taejun, happy 10th birthday. We love you a lot. Mommy and Daddy." Holding a glass of water, witnessed her father grieving secretly. Stands alone in a dimly lit room, shoulders hunched over a cabinet, holding a framed photo. Tears stream down his face as he whispers with heartache, "No matter what, you can't be with her." Eavesdropping from the corner of a wall, Suk-hee's body trembles subtly. She saw Taejun and So-eun face each other on a sunlit path. Taejun raises a fist in a playful, animated expression, while So-eun smiles brightly, clearly amused. They appear to be in the middle of a spirited exchange or teasing game, surrounded by the warmth of a summer afternoon. Later, she crouches slightly to speak kindly to So-eun. She gently informs her that her aunt and uncle are waiting and encourages her to go with them, offering money for a treat. So-eun clings tightly to the woman's leg, sobbing as money falls around them. Suk-hee's expression is stiff with pain and heartbreak. Though she tries to push the girl away with logic, her body reveals her inner turmoil. So-eun's small hands trembling, holds out a colorful phone toy decorated with stickers. Her voice is quiet but full of purpose as she asks the woman to pass it on to someone, clearly something she prepared with care. With wide, glistening green eyes and a tear-streaked face, the girl pleads desperately. Her expression is filled with hope and sorrow as she asks the woman to make sure the gift reaches Taejun, her little hands clutching it tightly, as if it holds all her emotions. Later, she walks alone through the dim corridor of a building, repeating to herself that everything she is doing is for Taejun's sake. But her expression tells another story. This burden weighs heavily on her, and the repetition sounds more like a mantra to ease her guilt. She looked pale, her hand trembling, hesitating to give the phone to Taejun. A commanding male voice cuts through the silence. The woman looks up in shock, caught off guard. Dressed in formal attire, his presence is cold and heavy. The woman stiffens and responds with visible tension, calling him father. A chilling silence lingers in the space between them. She apologizes, asking if the girl was too loud or troublesome. The father responds with a cold no. She hesitantly questions, "You knew?" He explains that he allowed So-eun to stay only because she had nowhere else to go and might have been going through a difficult time. He admits he intended to eventually tell her the truth about her father, once she was older. With sadness in her eyes, Suk-hee processes his words. He suggests now might be the best time to remove So-eun, while she is still unaware of her true origins. She remains silent, clearly conflicted. The father's gaze sharpens as he notices something in her hand. He asks about it, and the woman flinches, clutching the phone tighter. Her body stiffens as she prepares to respond. She shows him the phone toy and downplays its significance, saying it's just something the child gave her before leaving. Her words are careful, trying not to reveal the emotional weight behind the gift. He ends the conversation abruptly, stating there's no need to talk about that kid ever again. Shocked and helpless, she stands motionless. Her eyes widened, and a single drop of sweat trails down her cheek as she replied, "Yes, father." The car came to a stop. Taejun steps aside, stating he'll go in by himself later and the driver should head in first. Time fast-forwards. He stands before his childhood home, surrounded by greenery. His thoughts echo the weight of years gone by. It's been 20 years. Then, on that day, in the midst of a rainstorm, a lone umbrella lies abandoned on the pavement. Inside, grandfather stands by a window, emotionless, casting a long shadow. A storm rages outside. Taejun, dressed in a black funeral suit, stands solemnly across from So-eun. His expression is unreadable. A memory surfaces. Young Taejun and So-eun days were filled with light-hearted joy, standing under the warm sun. The boy laughs playfully, teasing the girl who hides her face in embarrassment. Now a grown man, the boy from the past gazes upward with a serene expression. As he looks into the sky, surrounded by green trees and blue skies, the pain of the past seems to have settled into a calm, introspective resolve. The soft breeze lifts his hair as he reflects on the past. A call from his aunt reminded him of the family breakfast, arranged at his father's request. "We haven't been together since you came back to Korea," she said. Even as he sat in his office, making excuses, he knew the guilt would outweigh his pride. "This is an invitation I can't refuse," he thought, recalling his aunt's reminder that his grandfather would be happy to see him. Despite the polite acceptance, "Yes, Aunt. I'll see you next week." Tae-jun's heart remained conflicted. He had never wanted to come back. Walking through the garden, his steps slowed as his eyes landed on a familiar bench. The memories came flooding back again, the place where he and the girl used to talk after school. He could almost see them. The younger Tae-jun with his school bag and the girl with her bright yellow backpack, talking beneath the shade of the tree. He sat down awkwardly on the bench, realizing how small it felt now. Was this bench always this small? He wondered. When I was younger, it had space to even lie down. The nostalgia was overwhelming. Just then, a breeze stirred. A leaf fluttered through the air, brushing against his hair, delicate and fleeting, like the past he could never quite escape. Reflecting on the past, he wondered if her sudden disappearance was his fault. Maybe he wasn't kind enough. Maybe he should have cherished her more. The thoughts weighed heavily on him, until a soft breeze brushed past, a whisper of the past, followed by a familiar voice gently calling his name. Tae-jun. Startled, he turned around and found his aunt, teasing him about his love life along the way. They shared a light-hearted exchange filled with laughter, bringing a rare moment of ease to Tae-jun's guarded heart. She even offered to set him up on a date, teasing, "Would you like me to arrange one for you?" But Tae-jun, with a quiet smile, declines. Looking out at the trees, he softly adds that he's not ready, not yet, and urges Aunt to hurry. Grandpa must be waiting for them. Tae-jun meets with his grandfather. He mentions Tae-jun's recent absence, understanding it's due to his busy work life. Tae-jun confirms, having been preoccupied with his own responsibilities. The conversation shifts to a business issue involving Chris and Greenbrook. Tae-jun proposes a solution confidently, assuring Grandpa that the outcome will be satisfying. Aunt also interacts with Tae-jun again during a dinner meeting, praising his diplomatic answers and teasingly calling him a rascal. Grandfather felt assured and stated he'll let Tae-jun take care of the issue as he's not in his best condition anymore. Privately, Aunt Kim Suk-hee begins to realize something. She once believed Tae-jun had no interest in dating, but now, it's clear he's hiding something or someone. Flashbacks reveal Tae-jun with a young woman, Han So-eun, the manager of K Electronics' mobile services team. She appears thoughtful and reserved. A photo of her confirms the identity of the woman she saw in Tae-jun's parking lot. She wonders if her father is aware that Tae-jun has started seeing that girl again, a relationship her father wants nothing to do with. At the law firm, Hae-wook faced intense pressure from his father, who messaged him about their family's dire financial situation. The weight of illegal debt collectors, the sacrifice of a liver transplant, and thoughts of selling their home pushed the family toward desperation. As Hae-wook read the message, he was overwhelmed with regret, particularly about his entanglement with Han So-eun. He believed he should have run away from everything related to her when he had the chance. His frustrations continued to mount as he endured scolding from others over his breakup with Hyunjin and obsession with So-eun. Accusations flew. Had he only acted better in his previous relationship, they might have won a legal case worth 1.5 billion KRW. But all Hae-wook felt was exhaustion and resentment, blaming the entire marriage ordeal for draining him emotionally. Despite this bitterness, he was relieved that Hyunjin had left the law firm. With her gone, he was able to renegotiate his salary after the firm's merger and refocus on his own priorities. He decided to cut ties with his sister's financial burdens, vowing to handle only his own debt. This moment of clarity gave him resolve to think of taking out a loan and regain. The firm's new identity, YNC, from Yeolju, Chris, and Greenbrook, is officially launched. Though Hae-wook is unsure about the name, his colleague says there's nothing to be done, they must adapt. The announcement of the merger comes with a stunning revelation. K Electronics will become one of their clients. This revelation shocks Hae-wook. His discomfort grows as he realizes that working with them now feels wrong. Curious, he begins researching. In a company article, he sees a photo of a mysterious, charismatic executive everyone's been talking about. Hae-wook wonders who this foreign-looking man could be. The new face from the merger leaves him uneasy. Meanwhile, at K Electronics headquarters, executives discuss the law firm developments. Aunt Suk-hee asks her father if he prepared anything regarding the Chris and Greenbrick situation. Her father deflects, saying Tae-jun was the one working on it. She questions why a powerful international firm would merge with a domestic one like Yeoljiu. Suspicion creeps in. Was there an external deal? Could Tae-jun have hidden an ulterior motive? Her father admits he never asked Tae-jun his reason for pushing the merger, assuming it was to build useful connections. With hesitation, the woman accepts his vague response, but remains unsettled. The woman, troubled but composed, muttered to herself, "I see." Later, at her sleek office with sun pouring in through high windows, continued her own investigation. A sharp glint in her eye suggested she had found something. Her search led her to a digital display of staff profiles, where the face of lawyer Yang Hae-wook lit up the screen. In a confidential meeting, she presented files to a superior, confirming that manager Han Soeun was indeed the daughter of Han Hong-yu. Her work was thorough and praised. But something else was uncovered. Online rumors about the woman had already been verified, and a certain coin, tied to a controversy, had been handled outside of K-Group's jurisdiction. And once again, the face of lawyer Yang Hae-wook surfaced in the file. As she digested the layers of revelations, the woman broke into a cold sweat. Covering her mouth, she trembled in disbelief. Whatever she had just pieced together had shaken her to the core. During a virtual business meeting, several executives from different regions appear on screen, their expressions focused and attentive. Among them is Tae-jun, calm and collected, representing his firm with poised confidence. He clicks accept, signaling the official end of the corporate session. Alone in his office, Tae-jun leans back in his chair, momentarily closing his eyes. Thoughts echo in his mind. He reminds himself that it's okay to breathe now that the intense merger proceedings have wrapped up. He reflects on the immense workload he endured, reviewing countless papers, contracts, and proposals. The image shifts to past scenes of him attending multilingual meetings and business trips. Exhausted but determined, he clutches a document, muttering how grateful he is for being bilingual. Using the reputation of his late grandfather, he had also taken on the responsibility of keeping the executives satisfied. Tae-jun leans back in his chair with drooping eyes, thinking to himself, "Let's relax for a second." The heavy responsibilities have clearly worn him out. A knock at the office door startles him out of his trance. With a composed yet curious look, he responds, "Come in." Secretary Song enters the room gracefully, reporting that she has successfully handed over all the data to the management support office. She thanks him for his hard work. In return, he acknowledges her effort with appreciation. Standing before him, Secretary Song politely asks if she could have a moment of his time. Tae-jun looks slightly surprised by the request, but nods, inviting her to go ahead. With a calm and professional demeanor, Secretary Song gently inquires if there is anything she should know regarding the CEO's personal affairs. Tae-jun stands confidently in his suit, a hint of amusement playing on his lips as he speaks the words, something like a relationship. "Are you asking me because you want to know?" he questions calmly. "Or because you already know about it?" The room holds a quiet tension, as if both are waiting to see who will blink first. Secretary Song smiles gently. "Secretary Song, how has Tae-jun been doing these days?" a voice asks, loaded with both concern and distance. Wrapped in a robe and towel, Secretary Song juggles a phone call with a warm cup of coffee. With a calm expression, she responds confidently, "In that sense, you don't have to worry at all." She assures the caller that Tae-jun has been handling his responsibilities, especially leading the TF team, with composure and skill. Secretary Song's thoughts swirl in silence. She's probably not talking about Soeun, right? Her words come cautiously as she asks if the idea of an introduction should even be brought up to Tae-jun. At the same time, she silently notes how much her previous words affected him. Secretary Song now stares ahead in concern, her expression caught between duty and emotion. A bead of sweat slides down her face as she thinks to herself, "I have to tackle this carefully." It's clear that he doesn't want to deny he's dating someone since he's been so serious about the conversation. It's evident that he doesn't want to deny being in a relationship, signaling how meaningful this is to him. The woman across from him sips her drink with a knowing smile, her words cutting through the tension. She recalls, almost teasingly, "But I remember you hated her." Taejun's eyes widened in shock. The accusation clearly rattles him, and a single bead of sweat trails down his cheek, revealing his inner turmoil. A close-up of Taejun's eye captures the moment he processes her words. He averts his gaze downward, avoiding confrontation as doubt and memory stir within him. Taejun admits quietly, his back turned, "I didn't like the fact that she was so foolishly nice." Secretary Song sits up straighter, caught off guard by his confession. Blushing deeply, Taejun lowers his gaze and presses his fingers to his lips. With a mix of embarrassment and sincerity, he finally admits, "But now I like that about her too." A flashback scene emerges. A younger Secretary Song kneels and greets a timid little boy, Taejun, warmly saying, "You are Taejun, right?" "Hello." Her kind demeanor shines through instantly. The young Taejun dashes away in embarrassment, leaving the adults flustered. Taejun's father offers an apologetic smile. Taejun is really shy. "I'm sorry about that." With a warm, understanding smile, Secretary Song reassures them, "Oh no, kids are usually like that at that age." Secretary Song turns her head slightly, surprised, as someone comments playfully. Taejun, with large, expressive eyes, peeks shyly from behind a concrete pillar. His cheeks are lightly flushed as he grips the edge with small fingers, clearly curious, yet hesitant to step forward. A flood of thoughts crashes over Secretary Song as she recalls Taejun's past personality. She had believed he had changed, but now realizes the intense side of him still lingers beneath his calm demeanor. The memory of his intimidating passion leaves her speechless, while he laughs nervously beside her, clearly embarrassed by her recollection. Taejun, transformed into a bashful, fox-eared version of himself, clasps his hands and gazes up with pleading eyes. He begs her not to say anything, trying to win her silence with cuteness. Struck by his adorable display, the woman clutches her chest, overwhelmed. Her heart pounds dramatically as a heart-shaped arrow strikes it, leaving her blushing and speechless, completely won over by his charm. Outside the Future Services team office, So-eun arrives with a bag slung over her shoulder. She pauses as she notices someone inside. So-eun, slightly frustrated, explains that one colleague had other work and the department manager has been dodging her. She reminds Taejun of his authority in the department, implying he should take charge. Taejun, ever composed, responds reassuringly. He tells her she can address any discomfort directly with Secretary Song. His calm tone eases the tension, though his words carry an unexpected sense of formality. Despite his reassurance, So-eun's mind races with doubt. Her thoughts swirl in uncertainty. She wonders if the CEO truly approves and what consequences might arise from being so open. Worry lingers in her expression, even as she tries to stay composed. She nervously informs him that the others might be arriving soon and that her schedule will be packed for a while. Despite her composed tone, a hint of unease flickers in her expression. Taejun gazes at her intently, leaning forward with a relaxed yet flirtatious air. He admits that because she'll be busy, he wants to look at her as much as he can now. Her heart pounds uncontrollably, warmth rising to her cheeks as she silently processes the moment. Bathed in a dreamy pink glow, she looks at him from across the table, momentarily forgetting the professional boundaries. His casual demeanor makes him feel less like a CEO and more like a close coworker, perhaps something even closer. A chibi version of her appears with sparkling wide eyes and a tiny drop of sweat on her forehead, showing her overwhelmed reaction to the situation. She's clearly flustered and lost in a mix of panic and excitement. Back in her imagination, she envisions a casual moment. Kim Taejun, dressed down in a white shirt, approaches her playfully and asks to walk home together. Taejun holds out his phone, showing a vibrant fireworks display on social media. He casually mentions that if they visit Busan in the fall, they could see something like this in person. So-eun, sitting at her desk, gazes at the phone in awe. She admits she's never seen fireworks up close, explaining that she's always been too busy working part-time jobs since high school. Taejun, standing beside her, listens attentively. With a small, thoughtful smile, he offers to clear his schedule before fall arrives, suggesting they go together. But just as he's about to finish his sentence, he's abruptly interrupted. Chief Jang walks in and greets Taejun. From behind the desk, the woman looks flustered while Taejun maintains a composed stance. The tension subtly shifts as the atmosphere changes. Caught off guard, So-eun nervously stammers, trying to explain their conversation. She says the CEO was just showing her a fireworks video. As So-eun shows the video to the newcomer, he leans in closely. Taejun, visibly irritated, glares at Chief Jang, thinking to himself that he's standing too close. His irritation is clear, his mood quickly soured by the turn of events. Chief Jang launches into a technical explanation, pointing out AI-generated flaws in the video, like warped text and strange reflections. So-eun realizes he's right and admits she hadn't noticed because it looked so good. Meanwhile, Taejun feels a figurative chasm form between himself and the other man, a romantic being crushed by a scientist, distanced by logic. Standing face to face, Chief Jang stares straight at the CEO, matching his gaze with equal firmness. There's a tense energy hanging in the air as if words are being exchanged through their eyes alone. Chief Jang suddenly softens his expression and smirks confidently, as though he knows exactly what he's doing. The look he gives is equal parts smug and defiant, a deliberate provocation. Taejun's mouth twitches into a half-laugh, half-scoff, barely masking his irritation. With a flat stare and dry sarcasm, he internally curses the other man, calling him a bastard through clenched teeth. The girl sits awkwardly between the two men, unaware of the territorial standoff flaring around her. He internally fumes. He gave a warning, yet it's being blatantly ignored. Kim Mal-hee, troubled and deep in thought, worries about an impending deadline. 2 weeks to repay 1.1 billion Korean won. She considers selling the house, but fears they won't get a fair price in such a rush. She hears a sudden noise and perks up, wondering what it might be. Her son, Hae-wook, arrives home. She rushes to ask about the loan, hopeful that his company might help. But he responds coldly, brushing her off and saying it's her problem. The mother pleads with Hae-wook, insisting they can only rely on him now. She suspects his cold attitude is still because of Han So-eun. Hae-wook confirms her suspicion, admitting he might have to quit the company because of So-eun. The mother is shocked and demands clarification. The mother furiously asks what So-eun did. Hae-wook avoids the details, claiming So-eun wouldn't understand the merger situation anyway. He coldly announces he'll need to change jobs, which means he won't be able to provide financial help. He tells her to find another way to get the money. Left speechless, the mother watches her son walk away. Her posture sags with helplessness. Falling to the floor, she breaks down, devastated. She cries out, feeling abandoned by her own son during such a desperate time. The scene turns emotionally intense and shadowed. The mother bitterly blames Han So-eun for Hae-wook's decision, convinced that it's all her fault he's quitting his job. Her face is clenched with grief and rage. So-eun got off the bus and walked home from the station. She sighed, ruminating about the day. It was a pretty tough day in many ways. It was a relief that Bo Bae came in at the right time. She will have to talk to Manager Jang tomorrow, though it'll be hard to explain everything. Then her thought was interrupted by a voice calling her name. That voice, she recognized. It was her ex-mother-in-law, blaming her for being cold-hearted, leaving their family without even saying goodbye to them. She menacingly said, "I treasured you so much when you were my daughter-in-law." So-eun backed away as she questioned her ex-in-law's presence there. Since she broke up with Hae-wook, they are nothing more than strangers. The ex-in-law tries to defend her son, explaining how hard things have been on him since the breakup. She insists that everything started to fall apart when So-eun left. Her tone shifts from pleading to subtly accusatory. The ex-mother-in-law smiles slyly, placing a hand on her shoulder. She reminds So-eun that they share a deep bond, and insists that she has become a part of her, something So-eun should not disregard. So-eun's expression shifts to one of alarm and discomfort as she listens. She begins to feel the pressure mounting from this unexpected and unwelcome encounter. Ex-in-law's tone turns sharp as she blames So-eun for Hae-wook's troubles. With a twisted smile, she demands that So-eun do the right thing by returning to marry him. Just thinking about what So-eun did to her son makes her sick, but there's nothing to do about it at this point. Hae-wook really likes her. So-eun snapped, physically removing the woman's hand from her arm. Her voice is calm but firm, as she says she's confused by the woman's expectations. So-eun questions why she should go back to someone just because he wants her to. She asserts that she has her own emotions and desires, and they deserve to be respected too. With conviction, So-eun tells the woman that she broke up with Hae-wook simply because she no longer loves him. The ex-mother-in-law becomes frantic, accusing So-eun of potentially causing her son's death due to heartbreak. She goes as far as saying So-eun would be a murderer if that happens. So-eun is overwhelmed by a flashback. She remembers the moment her heart was crushed when she overheard the true reason Hae-wook was dating her. That betrayal shattered her spirit. Her memory drifts back to when she realized the entire family had been using her. Though she smiled and endured it back then, the emotional burden was hers alone to carry. Only found comfort in who told her that she had to pick herself back up and console herself through the heartbreak. Her voice shakes as she begins to speak up for herself. With rising emotion, So-eun explodes in anger, yelling that she's been emotionally murdered multiple times because of them. The ex-in-law stammers, pretending to be clueless and innocent, questioning what So-eun could possibly be talking about. A commanding voice interrupts the tension, telling the ex-in-law to stop, shocking her into silence. Tae-jun, calm and composed, faces ex-in-law and tells her bluntly that there's no point in continuing the charade. When asked who he is, the man confidently introduces himself as Han So-eun's boyfriend. The older woman scoffs, calling him a parasite. In a cheeky yet confident tone, Tae-jun retorts that he's a much better choice than her ugly son. So-eun stifles a laugh beside him. With grace, he says he'll explain things clearly. Tae-jun turns to the older woman and delivers a sharp truth. She, the ex-in-law, was already close to death, and the only reason she's still alive is because of Han So-eun. Now that she was given a second chance at life, she should learn to value it. Ex-mother-in-law, caught off guard, stammers in disbelief, questioning So-eun's authority to lecture her. A car suddenly pulls up beside them, startling everyone. In a lighthearted shift, he guides the confused woman into the vehicle with a carefree attitude. Inside the taxi, the ex-in-law looks bewildered. Tae-jun cheerfully hands the driver money, instructing him to take her anywhere else in Seoul and to keep the change. She accuses him of being disrespectful for forcing an elderly woman into a taxi without consent. Tae-jun leans in with a forced smile and calmly warns her not to ever come looking for So-eun again. He makes it clear that his current tone is him being merciful. His smile fades as he delivers a chilling warning, telling her to leave while she still can, and not to ever try anything like this again. Comically stunned, the woman sits frozen in shock. As the taxi drives off into the night, So-eun and the man stand quietly side by side, watching the car disappear down the street. The man reflects aloud, stating that previously it was Hae-wook who came looking for So-eun, and now it's his mother. The pattern of harassment is becoming too familiar. So-eun looks startled as the man turns to her and asks if she thinks they will keep trying to interfere in her life. So-eun hesitantly confesses that Hae-wook called her yesterday and yelled at her. She reassures herself and the man beside her that Hae-wook's mother showing up alone today might mean they won't repeat such behavior. The man, however, looks frustrated and determined, stating that he needs to deliver a stronger message to prevent further harassment. He contemplates using his connections as a warning tactic. So-eun panics after reading his expression, internally screaming. She pleads with him not to do anything drastic, calling his plan too dangerous and referring to him respectfully as Mr. CEO. He softens slightly and mentions there's a child in the family involved. Despite his anger, he acknowledges that the kid still needs his parents, showing his internal conflict. His hardened expression gives way to a bittersweet smile as he quietly admits that he no longer knows what's right anymore. A reflective monologue emerges, musing that it might be possible to be independent at a young age, just like he had to be when he was a child. The focus shifts to the door of room 304. He tells So-eun to get some rest, showing concern for her well-being and emphasizing she should wake up early for work. As he walks away, he reflects that his real concern isn't work, but having to meet with his aunt. He's clearly torn, not ready to face her while he's still involved with So-eun. Pausing mid-thought, he notes how unusual it is that his aunt has been seeking him out so persistently lately. A hint of suspicion or unease flickers in his expression as he whispers. Tae-jun stares at the delivery locker and notices a package labeled with Han So-eun and the Republic of Korea's embassy in the Philippines. His eyes widened in shock. It's revealed that So-eun was raised by her aunt until adulthood, and that her father, Han Hong-yu, had moved to the Philippines over 10 years ago. Tae-jun anxiously pulls out the delivery envelope. A black car drives down the city streets at night. Inside, Tae-jun glances at the rearview mirror. The narration reveals grim news. Her father has been found, but he died in May in the Philippines, and the cause of death is still unknown. The other person adds that while the official cause of death remains unclear, it's suspected that the death might have stemmed from a financial dispute. Speaking on the phone, Tae-jun inquired whether there was a funeral. He learns that there wasn't one. No relatives were present to arrange it. Instead, the father's belongings were handled by acquaintances. Still on the call, the man asks if the father left behind a will. The answer is no. The only property he left was worth around 5 million Philippine pesos. The man is visibly surprised by how little was left behind. Dark panels take over the screen. The man confesses in his inner thoughts that he was always disturbed by the fact that Han So-eun's father was the only one who survived the accident. He used to wonder why her father survived while his own parents didn't. Despite his pain, he wanted to face the man who raised her. He wished to understand how she managed to endure all the pain and bullying for so long. Han So-eun recalls her childhood. She reflects on her father's hardship, raising her without a mother, working tirelessly during the day and caring for her at night. She expresses guilt for being a burden. She blames herself for the accident. She wonders if things might have turned out differently if she had been a more obedient child, one who didn't keep her father up at night or cause trouble. Thinking of his beloved So-eun, how she can't rely on anyone but herself, she is now left alone, struggling with her feelings as an adult. Even he has his own fault for hating her for so long. May of this year was when So-eun had that surgery. He instructed the other person on the phone not to leak this information. If she received this news, it must mean that she was also looking for her father. He needed to hurry up the investigation of her father's death. Thinking when she told him she now had the urge to make a lot of money, move to bigger house, buy a bigger bed because she likes him, he's resolved to hide this from her. He wished for her to remain happy just for a little longer. Tae-jun arrives at his residence just as his aunt was about to visit him. She remarks that it seems he has only just returned home as well. As they enter the home, Tae-jun's aunt compliments how well he maintains the space, noting that he seems to be living independently and responsibly, just as she expected from him. Tae-jun humbly downplays it. In a humorous cutaway, it's revealed that Tae-jun only keeps things tidy because he never knows when his aunt or grandfather might drop in. A flashback shows his past self in the U.S., carelessly lounging in a messy room, completely unbothered. His aunt notices a decorative jar and recognizes it as the one she gifted him. Her comment implies disappointment at the way it has been handled, catching Tae-jun off guard. Tae-jun quickly explains that he tried to fix the broken jar, but the glue didn't hold. He changes the subject by offering to prepare tea for her. Before answering, she notices something unexpected and says, "Huh?" Inside the broken jar, she spots a small pink item, possibly meaningful or suspicious, tucked within the cracks and surrounded by pebbles. Tae-jun, sensing the shift in her demeanor, politely asks if something is wrong. His aunt sits silently with a glass of water, her expression unreadable and tense, hinting that whatever she found has deeply unsettled her. She finally speaks his name and, hesitantly, begins to confess something important. Tae-jun listens quietly as she reveals she knows what's going on with Han So-eun, indicating she's aware of a sensitive situation involving the girl. With teary eyes, she presses him further, saying he probably didn't recognize So-eun at first, but now that he knows her father's identity, he can't possibly continue being with her. She continues, her voice trembling, insisting that even if Tae-jun and So-eun were in a relationship, he would need to end it because of what her father did. She can't believe he could truly have feelings for her. She tries to reason with Tae-jun, saying that although So-eun may not leave him alone, he needs to understand their relationship is problematic. She pleads with him not to get more involved, for his own good. A haunting memory resurfaces. Tae-jun recalls his aunt and grandfather telling him as a child that what they did was for his own sake, their glowing eyes and emotionless expressions echoing the same reasoning she just used. A younger Tae-jun is seen from behind, standing alone in the darkness, hearing the same old words. You have to understand and bear with it, underscoring a lifelong burden of emotional suppression. Back in the present, Tae-jun remains silent, his hands clenched tightly on the table, weighed down by conflicted emotions. Tae-jun's aunt is visibly taken aback as Tae-jun firmly tells her not to interfere in his life. He reminds her that he's no longer a child and emphasizes that she is not his mother, drawing a clear emotional boundary between them. Tae-jun, calm but resolute, looks back and tells his aunt that he's known the truth from the very beginning. His words are firm, meant to reassure her, but also to shut down any further meddling. As Tae-jun excuses himself for the night, stating he has work the next day, his aunt is left standing alone, startled and speechless. Inside the Future Services team office, a few employees are present and working. A note indicates that Ba-bae is currently away on her annual leave, leaving the workspace unusually quiet. So-eun is shown at her desk, typing but visibly tense. Her face betrays unease, suggesting something is weighing heavily on her mind as she tries to focus on work. One of her co-workers, Chief Jang, nervously approaches and asks if she's uncomfortable because of him. His question is awkward, but it shows genuine concern for how she feels. Chief Jang follows up by directly asking if she has a boyfriend, which catches So-eun off guard. Her wide-eyed expression shows her surprise at the unexpected and personal question. So-eun admits she does have a boyfriend, but explains she's kept the relationship low profile, which is why there are no personal items like pictures on her desk. She appears nervous but honest. Both So-eun and manager Jang apologize to each other, So-eun for keeping her relationship a secret, and Jang for bringing up something awkward. The atmosphere softens, but remains tinged with awkward tension. Tae-jun eavesdrops on the conversation between So-eun and Chief Jang. Tae-jun walks away. A moment of inner turmoil lingers, and he wonders silently, what should I do now? As the blinds cast soft lines of evening light, So-eun tells the CEO she's about to get off work. The CEO responds warmly, asking if she would like to wait for him for a moment. He recalls the confusion he once felt, uncertain whether it was a physical ailment or emotional pain. As he sits facing So-eun across the office, he remembers how that discomfort had consumed him before. Folders fill his computer screen, representing his effort to compartmentalize and label each emotion. By organizing them like work files, he had once managed to reduce his emotional burden. Tae-jun muses that managing those emotions used to be simple. But now, that familiar uneasy feeling is returning. He glances across the office at Han So-eun, seated silently. The emotional weight builds as he inwardly questions what exactly this new, overwhelming feeling is. He simply can't define it. A dark silhouette of his younger self appears in his thoughts. The child version of him coldly states, I might be abandoned again, revealing the core of his emotional fear, rejection, and loss. The man sits on a bench next to a younger version of himself. The younger self warns that if he lets fear of abandonment rule him, he'll end up like the rotting bench they used to wait on, waiting endlessly for someone who never returned. The younger self continues, painting a grim image of emotional decay. He says the man will die with the twisting feeling of abandonment eating at him like a disease, alone and bitter. The man listens in silence, haunted by the memory. The younger version reflects solemnly. Nothing has changed. His aunt, grandfather, and Han So-eun's father all trigger the same wound. Everything feels like a repetition of past pain. Tears begin to fall as the realization hits. The circumstances haven't changed. The haunting past still lingers, and the weight of it remains unbearable. Young Tae-jun, now emotionally unraveled, cries openly. He questions whether he must continue carrying the torment of the past indefinitely, unable to move forward. Still weeping, he expresses a desperate wish. He thought he had finally earned the right to feel a little happiness, just a little. But the shadow of his trauma keeps it just out of reach. A close-up of his tearful eye reveals a moment of clarity. The younger self gently points out, it's not impossible for him to achieve happiness. There is still a way, if he chooses it. Young Tae-jun looks up, his large teary eyes meeting the older Tae-jun. The unspoken suggestion, have a child with her, is laid bare. It's a shocking idea, hinted at with emotional force. The internal voice turns sinister. If he fathers a child with Han So-eun, he could bind her to him permanently, ensuring she stays in his life. It suggests that doing so would anchor her permanently in his future, revealing a dark and manipulative thought process. Tae-jun stares ahead, wide-eyed and stunned, as the inner voice asks, "What do you think?" His tear-streaked face shows confusion and emotional turmoil, caught between longing and moral conflict. A voice suddenly cuts through the tension, calling out, "Mr. CEO." Tae-jun is snapped out of his daze, his eyes widening in startled realization. Back in the office, Han So-eun sits across from Tae-jun. She gently asks if there is anything troubling him, sensing something off in his demeanor. Han So-eun looks puzzled and slightly concerned by Tae-jun's expression. The emotional weight of his inner conflict is visible in his distant stare. He softly mutters, "No," rejecting the idea. In his internal monologue, he acknowledges that no matter how he looks at it, acting on such a thought would be a crime. If he were to have a child with Han So-eun like that, just imagine how beautiful she would be, resembling Han So-eun. With her curious eyes, smiley mouth, and cute tiny hand, they wouldn't be able to let go. Think about how beautiful it would be living like that. The good side of him scolded the devil side of him. "What the hell are you talking about? Just a few months ago, she had a big surgery that put a ton of strain on her. What the fuck are you even thinking of making her go through now? She couldn't even eat what she wanted. Whenever she pushed herself even a little, she'd collapse and be unable to get up all day." His own greed and anxiety shouldn't be getting her way. Right now, she shouldn't sacrifice herself to take care of someone else. She should live for her own sake now. The devil side of him answered, "If that's what you choose, then it's up to you. Go ahead and try it. Let's see how you are going to handle the future like that. You've definitely changed." He draws a firm moral line. Tae-jun finally speaks, changing the topic entirely. He brings up the old dispute between two companies, IAX and NOCOM. So-eun is slightly surprised, but quickly affirms she remembers, thinking that was what was troubling him. He begins to explain the deeper conspiracy behind the lawsuit. Although there hasn't been anything in the news, they've found evidence that K Electronics is backing IAX, and that the founder of IAX is connected to his own family. The CEO explains that Kim Sang-deok's connections allowed K Electronics Group to secure numerous deals with the associated company. Internally, he's relieved to have steered the conversation toward business matters. So-eun, surprised, when Tae-jun quietly reveals that President Kim Sang-deok is Hai's uncle, implying a personal link to the controversy. Reacting in shock, So-eun stammers as she realizes they are investigating his relative. The CEO reassures her that he never had a good relationship with his uncle, and she can freely criticize him. So-eun hesitantly asks what will happen to K Electronics and their department if their suspicions prove true. The CEO stresses the importance of resolving the matter quickly, though he acknowledges it may pose difficulties for the chairman. Reassuring So-eun, the CEO tells her not to worry, expressing confidence in K-Group's enduring success. He reflects internally, affirming his belief that no matter how challenging things become, they will press forward with determination. As he looks at the K-Group logo, he muses that if someone leaves, their absence will be swiftly filled, implying the company's machinery won't stop for any individual. Kim Sang-deok is announced as the next president of K Electronics in a televised press conference, just like it had been with his own father. A flashback shows him as a child sitting alone at a table, deep in thought. A young version of the CEO notices So-eun's absence and wonders why she hasn't come to pester him as usual. He begins to worry that she may be upset with him again. A delivery worker kindly asks the young Tae-jun to step aside so he can pass with a cart of boxes. He, polite and unassuming, responds with a simple, "Oh, sure," allowing the worker through. On one of the boxes on the cart, it's labeled Han So-eun. This small detail triggers a deep reaction within him. He slowly turns around and watches the cart roll away. His gaze is fixed, not on the delivery worker, but on the box that carried the familiar name. A close-up of his face reveals his growing emotional distress. Everything and everyone functioning like a cold, mechanical system. He remained behind to adjust to this frigid structure, while someone important to him had left. Still wrapped in his thoughts, the boy walks alone through the snowy landscape. The boy stands silently by a bench. Through introspection, he acknowledges a painful truth. Some absences are irreplaceable, and no one can truly fill the void left behind. In a dim-lit room, moans filled the air. So-eun's arms wrapped around Tae-jun's naked body. In between her moans and gasps, she called out, "Mr. CO, a call. Someone is calling you. Take it." "Ah. HMGH. Tae-jun whispered hoarsely. "I thought I said it clearly before. Han So-eun, you don't have to worry about anything." Hae-wook's mother erupts with indignation, describing how she was discarded like old luggage. She demands justice and urges her to sue the man who treated her so harshly. Meanwhile, Hae-wook quietly resigns himself to her dramatics, thinking, "There she goes again." The mother, still emotionally charged, is questioned by her son. He asks if she remembers exactly what the man said during the encounter, catching her off guard as she stutters in confusion. She recalls that the man threatened to harm her if she showed up again, claiming he would kill her. Shocked, her son urgently asks if she managed to record the threat, but she bashfully admits she didn't. She's just an old lady, after all. Her son erupts in frustration, shouting that she should have captured the moment. His emotional outburst is full of regret for a lost opportunity. Still furious, the son mentally berates his mother for not recording the incident. He realizes it could have been their chance to take down a wealthy heir mistreating the elderly. Meanwhile, the mother nervously plans to quietly excuse herself before saying something she regrets. The son clenches his fist in anger, stewing over Kim Tae-jun, who he believes knows too much. The tension builds as his mind races with unspoken fears. He reflects on the extent of Kim Tae-jun's knowledge. Everything from his father's mysterious accident involving a golf caddy to forged documents. The realization that Tae-jun is aware of every secret rattles him. Realizing the danger of retaliation if they sue now, he strategizes. He needs solid evidence or leverage. Then he recalls the incident with reporters and tries to connect the dots, hoping it might be useful. His father confirms that reporters were indeed swarming the place, but strangely vanished without explanation. They thought it was due to a family issue at the time, but it now seems suspicious in hindsight. The son finds it even more unsettling that the reporters and all online traces of the scandal disappeared suddenly. He begins to suspect powerful influence at play, fueling his urgency to uncover a way to fight back. Hae-wook reflects on how strange it was that both the reporters and the online coverage of the incident vanished without a trace, heightening his suspicions of foul play. A realization strikes Hae-wook as he connects the timeline of events. The moment everything went silent was the same time the coin crash occurred, a clue he hadn't considered before. A pair of chopsticks clatter to the table as Hae-wook's body reacts in shock. His hands tremble as his mind begins racing with the implications of his realization. A burst of mental clarity hits. Hae-wook now understands that Han So-eun had been targeting his family all along. As the workday ends, the director offers Secretary Song a ride home, noting how late it is. Secretary Song politely declines, insisting she's fine. She lightly teases that she should be spending time with Chief Han instead of her. Secretary Song blushes and laughs nervously, caught off guard by the suggestion. A humorous flashback plays in her mind. His aunt, Suk-hee, once mentioned introducing a woman to Tae-jun. Now, Secretary Song wonders if she should bring it up subtly. Secretary Song explains that President Kim Suk-hwa had called a few days earlier, asking if it would be a good idea to introduce someone to Tae-jun. She had casually agreed to ask about it. Tae-jun chuckles, saying he had figured as much. Tae-jun's expression turns more serious as he points out that Suk-hee already knew the whole situation, yet still brought up Han So-eun. It's clear there's more behind the matchmaking suggestion. Secretary Song reacts with a sigh, realizing that Suk-hee had already known everything. She acknowledges internally that she can never win against the perceptive and shrewd president. Secretary begins to share something personal. She tells Director Kim that although it might sound trivial, she dated her husband for about 10 years before they finally got married. Through warm-toned flashbacks, she explains that her relationship went through many ups and downs. Her in-laws were firmly against the relationship, and she often thought they would break up. But against the odds, they got married and now have a child. The atmosphere grows slightly tense as the director falls silent, deep in thought. Secretary Song watches him closely, sensing a shift in his demeanor. Noticing his nervous energy, Secretary Song teases him gently, thinking to herself that Chief Han should see him like this. Smiling gently, the woman reflects on the past. She admits that even the hardships they faced have become just memories. He lowers his gaze and smiles faintly. Her story seems to have softened his thoughts, stirring something introspective in him. Elsewhere, the President Kim Suk-hee is informed that director Kim Tae-jun has arrived and will be coming up soon. She looks visibly stressed and weary, holding her forehead with a troubled expression. Director Kim's inner voice rings out powerfully in the darkness. He tells someone not to interfere in his life just because they speak occasionally. He emphasizes that he's not a child, and she's not his mother. Looking directly at the woman he's addressing, Director Kim coldly tells his aunt to stay out of his affairs. He declares that he will handle things on his own, a hardened look in his eyes. This is the first time Tae-jun has ever spoken to her like that. She had thought she knew him better than anyone, had cared more than anyone. Tae-jun walks away, his figure shrouded in darkness as his bitter words echo. A jolt of realization hits the aunt. She snaps out of her daze, visibly startled. The assistant bows courteously and tells Tae-jun to reach out if needed before exiting. Tae-jun's expression remains unreadable, steeled and emotionally withdrawn. Tae-jun stands alone, his expression grim and guarded. The aunt is visibly tense, her lips trembling as she tries to find words. But she remains quiet, overwhelmed by the atmosphere and Tae-jun's distant gaze. The two face each other in a large, dimly lit room. The aunt sits uneasily, unable to bridge the emotional chasm that now separates them. He tells her she was wrong. Caught off guard, the aunt can only respond with a confused huh? Not expecting remorse from him. Tae-jun begs her not to say anything further, revealing a flicker of vulnerability beneath his otherwise hardened demeanor. Tae-jun states plainly, that kid knows nothing. Tae-jun sits on the couch, heavy with fear. He admits that if everything were revealed, she will leave. She won't even look back. The weight of potential loss presses on him. His voice trembling, Tae-jun begs her again to pretend she doesn't know the truth. He promises, I'll do anything. With hands tightly clenched, shaking, he whispers, so, please. Vulnerability pours through his posture. Aunt's expression softens with realization as she takes in Tae-jun's plea. Her breath catches, ah. She reflects silently, watching Tae-jun from across the room. Her thoughts speak louder than words. This is the Tae-jun I know. As her eyes well with emotion, she quietly observes him and finally understands. You're scared. You've once again given everything to me. That day, 20 years ago, was your birthday. On that spring day, your parents, my brother and sister-in-law, passed away together. You, who once swore to hate their killer forever, have grown up and started a new life. Compassion begins to outweigh judgment. We are still trapped in unspoken resentment. Aunt trembles with emotional turmoil as she lowers her gaze, admitting that she simply can't do it. Even if the person in question has passed away, her pain and resentment run too deep for forgiveness. She reasoned, as time passes, when you recall the years you've lost, it will hurt a lot. Maybe this moment, these emotions will be full of sorrow. Before she could finish, Tae-jun cuts her off with shocking news. Han So-eun's father passed away. He had cut ties with her for the past 20 years, living alone in the Philippines. Then, last May, he lost his life. Han So-eun really knows nothing. Aunt retorted that she is still blood relative to her father. Blood cannot be erased. Tae-jun called her with a stern face. Aunt. She finally pulled back her emotion, but uttered firmly, I cannot do it. Even if that person is dead, I cannot forgive him. I'm sorry, but I won't tell anyone. You can trust that. I just cannot help you. Tae-jun told her that it's enough for him, and asked how is she. Tae-jun answered with a gentle expression, she's gradually getting better. Night blankets the neighborhood. Outside a quiet residential building, So-eun steps out carrying 2 large trash bags, sighing as she starts her task. Suddenly startled, she gasps upon spotting someone unexpected. She recognizes Tae-jun and addresses him with surprise, asking what brought the director to her place so unexpectedly. She admits that he startled her. So-eun notices Tae-jun's unexpected presence and mentions she thought he had dinner plans. He awkwardly laughs it off, his body language betraying nervousness. She starts to question his story, realizing something doesn't add up. She asks where his car is, and he vaguely replies that he called a driver, which only deepens her suspicion. Suspense builds as she looks at him in silence. Her eyes widen as a thought dawns on her. She hesitates, then begins to ask something cautiously. Tae-jun, visibly flushed and slightly swaying, confesses with a soft smile that he drank. His relaxed expression confirms her suspicion, catching her off guard. Under the glow of a streetlight, a tipsy Tae-jun responds cheerily, "Yeah," when asked if he has been drinking. She's half amused, half worried. His cheeks flushed and slightly disheveled, let out a bashful complaint. Even in his drunken state, he still manages to look adorably handsome, which she finds unfair and distracting. So-eun is surprised to see the drunken man standing before her building. She scolds him for showing up in his condition instead of going home. He admits he only came by after having a few drinks nearby. She's incredulous and points out that he could have at least called, especially since she was just taking out the trash, which now smells unpleasant. Instead of feeling guilty, Tae-jun throws his arms around her with a cheerful "it's fine," pulling her into an affectionate hug. Her face turns red with shock as she struggles to balance the trash bags in her hands. He has already followed her inside and stands in her cluttered laundry area, drunkenly asking if it's okay to come in, despite already being fully inside. He bashfully asks if he can sleep over since he's already there. She's flustered and protests, reminding him he claimed he only came to see her for a second. She also frets about not having any clothes for him and not even getting a chance to tidy the place. Looking slightly caught off guard, he listens as she mumbles that she would have prepared some clothes if she had known he would be dropping by so often. With a playful smirk, he teases that he doesn't mind sleeping naked. The woman, however, instantly panics and yells that she definitely minds, visibly flustered by his boldness. Turning more serious, he tells her he was only joking and says he should leave. However, she protests, worried he might get sick and vomit in a car. She reasons that even a surrogate mother wouldn't want to clean up after him, subtly asking him to stay longer until he sobers up. So-eun tells Tae-jun to sit down for now, concerned about his state. He complains dramatically, asking if she wants him to throw up there. She reasons that it can't be helped. Quietly, she offers to take his jacket. While holding his jacket, So-eun looks to the side and reflects aloud. She says the person she wants to look good for isn't the knight-like ideal, but rather, it's simply Han So-eun, herself. He gazes at her with softened eyes and a faint smile. So-eun freezes. Her eyes widen as she processes his expression. Her lips part slightly, and her cheeks blush deeply. With hesitant resolve, asks him to be honest with her. So-eun gently cradles his face in her hands, her brows furrowed in sincerity as she looks at him closely. "You came because you like me, right?" she asks, her voice filled with emotion and vulnerability. The director, still flushed, looks up at her with glistening eyes. Despite the alcohol, he responds softly, sober. His hand grips her side, trembling slightly. "Is this some kind of torture in the way to the heaven?" he murmurs. Then, with a breathless tone, he pleads, "Then give me more." Overcome by emotions, the two share a passionate kiss. Arms wrap tightly around one another, and their feelings spill over in a rush of longing and desire. As her hand gently lands on his shoulder, she responds with quiet intensity. She would only ever believe something if he himself told her directly. Breathless and slightly flushed, So-eun stares down and demands an honest answer. She pleads for clarity, asking why she is good, what makes her special. She wants specifics, not generic praise. Tae-jun, equally breathless and visibly affected, listens intently as So-eun insists he give her a genuine reason, something different from what everyone else says. She needs to know why her. In a vulnerable, almost childlike tone, Tae-jun rambles on. To him, every part of So-eun is beautiful, even the back of her head, her heels, her entire being. He gushes that her front is even more beautiful, down to the detail of her belly button. So-eun reacts with a flat expression, interpreting his words as an infatuation with her secret places, leaving her mildly exasperated. With a soft laugh and a disappointed sigh, she questions if that's all he sees in her. Tae-jun, resting his head on her stomach and wrapping his arms around her, insists there's more, much more. Tae-jun abruptly shifts gears and begins talking about his home. He describes it as large and wide, prompting So-eun to comment on the random bragging. Still, he seems nostalgic. He continues, this time more tenderly. Though the house is spacious, there's only one spot in the whole place he truly cherishes, a place that feels like home to him. Taejun lowers his gaze as he reveals the emotional weight tied to that special spot. It's not just the house. It was his refuge, the place he stayed in until he was 16, symbolizing a long-lost sense of safety and belonging. A memory unfolds. A young Taejun sits alone on a bench under the summer sun. Despite the vastness of the world around him, he always knew exactly where he was going, driven by purpose, perhaps shaped by loneliness. In the future, everything was already decided for him. Then Soon approached him and introduced herself. Looking up at her, his inner thoughts confirmed why it should be Han So-eun. To me, it's just Han So-eun. Her existence is the reason itself. If this feeling can be conveyed as it is, even for their past that is diluted with their future, how much time should he invest? If it's so far away. But, as she straddled him, in an intimate moment, he gently caressed her, conveying his thoughts silently. In his heart, he knows that as long as she's on his side, he can wait for her, no matter how long it takes. Their emotions overflow, and the two share a tender kiss. Cuddled close in each other's arms, he playfully asks if they should marry after dating for 10 years. His inner voice echoes a simple but powerful truth. I love you, so stay by my side. It's a plea for constancy and companionship, underscoring the emotional weight of their relationship. The scene shifts to the next day at a repair workshop. Han So-eun, deeply focused on her task, is startled when someone urgently warns her she's about to get burned. Snapping out of her fatigue-induced trance, she realizes she nearly injured herself. A concerned coworker, Ms. Bo-bae, checks if So-eun is okay. So-eun reassures her that she's fine and just a little tired, brushing off the incident despite visible exhaustion. As two colleagues walk down the hallway, they discuss the heavy workload the TF team is facing, especially now that the director has moved the deadline forward. One suggests pushing off the schedules or finding time to hang out over the weekend. Suddenly, they spot the director approaching. Both she and So-eun freeze, their expressions showing surprise and curiosity. The director stands tall and confident as he converses with another man in the sunlit hallway, unaware that he's being watched from a distance. So-eun stands silently, her expression caught between conflict and longing as she reflects internally, confessing that she tried to believe the love she felt would eventually end, because she feared getting hurt again and couldn't bear another failure. Despite her fears, a memory surfaces. She thinks of the director and recalls a beautiful promise tied to a distant place, Bryce Canyon in Utah, USA. In a warm memory, the director tells So-eun they should go there someday, assuring her gently that he will take her. So-eun holds summer clothes in her hand, realizing she won't get to wear all of them before the season ends. Taejun replies lightly, suggesting she can always wear them next year and that she could even buy new ones for fall, trying to ease her worry. In another emotional flashback, he stares at her with deep affection, repeating his earlier question, should we get married after dating for 10 years? So-eun's inner voice interrupts the memory with pain, questioning why he is doing this to her, why he stirs hope only to leave it hanging. She watches him from a distance at work, surrounded by colleagues, and feels the ache of being emotionally misled and left behind. As he walks past, her gaze lingers on him with sadness, her inner voice admitting the truth. This silent, emotional turmoil is deeply painful. At her desk, she quietly wonders if his emotional confession the night before was genuine or merely the effect of alcohol. Doubt clouds her thoughts, leaving her feeling uncertain and restless. As the workday ends, the staff say their goodbyes to the director. Someone asks if the manager is leaving too. Taejun approaches her. She claims she still has work to finish. He questions if it's truly that much work, but tells her she's free to leave if she wants, his tone laced with something unspoken. Without preamble, she states that she's made preparations for the honeymoon, catching him off guard. The words linger awkwardly in the air between them. She looks down, flustered and speechless. Her face betrays a complex mix of emotions, embarrassment, confusion, and perhaps a flicker of vulnerability. He stares at her silently. He asks, yes? And then she nervously demands to know, are you doing this on purpose? The tension is palpable, heavy with the weight of unspoken emotions. Me? What did I do? Her expression softens with vulnerability as she stammers, trying to find the words. And when? I know you know, before quietly acknowledging. Ah, yes, you are having fun while I'm about to go crazy. Questions if she's intentionally flustering him. His words carry a mix of teasing and vulnerability. So-eun, startled and confused, quickly denies doing anything on purpose. Her voice falters as she tries to explain, knowing deep down that he might already be aware of her feelings. Tae-jun gazes at So-eun, his eyes searching her expression for a response. The silence between them stretches, heavy with anticipation. So-eun, her cheeks flushed with emotion, lowers her gaze and quietly admits. No, she confesses that the problem isn't with anyone else. She's the one who feels like the issue. Tae-jun looks down silently, his eyes filled with quiet conflict and concern. He seems deeply affected by So-eun's words, unable to respond immediately. Without saying much more, the director gently takes So-eun's hand. Internally, he resolves to stop speaking and instead show her a clearer answer, through action, not words. He leans in close and assures her it's okay, confessing that his own mind is a mess too. In a shift of mood, the scene changes to sizzling meat on a grill. The director prepares food and offers it warmly, saying, I hope you enjoy it, while So-eun looks surprised and confused. While handing her food, the director calmly but seriously says, I don't want to break up. So-eun stares back in wide-eyed shock, trying to grasp the meaning behind his sudden declaration. So-eun wonders if he's trying to make up for what happened the previous night. Still, she accepts the gesture and decides she'll go ahead and eat anyway. Later that night, they stand in front of his apartment building. The director playfully asks if she's trying to memorize the door password, catching her off guard. He leans in close and offers to register her fingerprint instead. He gently instructs So-eun to use her other hand while helping her register her fingerprint, leaning in close with a composed yet caring expression. So-eun, flustered, responds nervously. As the registration finishes, they stand close together. He tells her to try it now, while the beeping sound confirms the success of the fingerprint scan. So-eun's face flushes as she processes the intimacy of the moment. She looks overwhelmed, her heart visibly racing as she realizes the significance of what just happened. Gathering her composure, So-eun confidently declares that the house is now hers. He replies with a soft, unwavering yes, quietly indulging her teasing claim. Still half joking, he questions whether he should hand over her bank account too now that she owns his house. She remains silent, watching him with intensity, questions whether he's feeling unwell. His response is quiet and sincere. He's just trying to appeal to her by any means possible. With steady eyes, he tells So-eun not to play hard to get any more. Gently holding her face, he assures So-eun that he'll love her no matter what. Her expression softens with emotion as she takes in his words, visibly moved by the sincerity in his voice. Male and female clothes scattered on the bed and on the floor. Water runs down the shower head, creating steam that heats up the shower. The naked So-eun and Tae-jun, both faces flushed in heat, were kissing each other passionately, as if they couldn't get enough of each other. She parted her lips, inviting the taste of his tongue to sweep inside her sweet mouth. He thoroughly savored the taste of her, as if he couldn't get enough. He held her wrist against the wall as he made love to her. She begged him, please, Mr. CEO, as her body trembled in ecstasy. Caressing her chin to meet his gaze, he whispered, I haven't finished yet. The realization shocked her. Eventually, she accepted her faith and questioned, you haven't finished yet? He replied, did I say I finished? And her moan echoed in the shower as he proceeded to take her to Cloud 9. Outside a law office building, the scene transitions to a new location. Inside, piles of documents clutter the floor and desks. Hae-wook, clearly anxious, is frantically sorting through papers, deciding what needs to be thrown away in a desperate cleanup. Lawyer Yang sits in his office, overwhelmed and sweating. Regret creeps in as he realizes he was too excited about the merger. His internal monologue reveals he's manipulated too many legal documents, and if Kim Tae-jun finds out, it's all over. A knock at the door startles him. The director's voice calls out, asking to enter. Lawyer Yang panics, flailing to hide the mess and respond with a shaky yes. The director enters, unfazed but observant. He notes the chaos in the office and jokingly asks if it was robbed. Lawyer Yang nervously insists he was just doing some cleaning, trying to hide his panic. The director, now serious, tells Lawyer Yang that he should step away from the case. Yang is taken aback, pointing out that it's the case he's been assigned to, only to hear that it's not just one case that's being questioned. The director reveals they've received a directive from the U.S. branch. Suspicion has arisen regarding document tampering in several cases that Lawyer Yang handled. The director continues, explaining that the U.S. team is already reviewing the cases and has found several irregularities tied to Yang. Yang listens, stunned and speechless. The director reminds Yang of a past incident where a defendant's family lodged a complaint against him. At the time, the director defended him because of his long-standing service and the lack of solid evidence. Now, however, the situation has changed. The director emphasizes that this time, there is undeniable evidence. He taps Yang's shoulder and reminds him of how critical evidence is in the legal field. The director warns Lawyer Yang that a disciplinary committee may be convened soon to review his misconduct. Left alone in a chaotic office scattered with papers, Lawyer Yang stands frozen. As his mind reels, his phone vibrates with an incoming call from my beloved mother, momentarily pulling his attention from his distress. Hae-wook hurriedly answers, attempting to dismiss his mother, but her frantic voice cuts through. His father is in serious trouble. His face turns pale with horror as his mother informs him that his father has been in an accident and is currently hospitalized, urging him to come immediately. Yang, still in shock, exclaims in disbelief that a golf cart caused the accident. Two staff members from the golf course explain the incident, blaming miscommunication with a foreign caddy. They detail that the father refused the more experienced Korean caddy due to personal preferences, which ultimately led to the mishap. Hae-wook erupts in anger, accusing the staff of irresponsibility. His mother stands distraught behind him as he demands an explanation for allowing an inexperienced caddy to accompany his father. As he questions their negligence, he grows suspicious about the injury being too mild on the caddy compared to his father's condition, insinuating that the incident could have been intentional. The woman tries to deny it nervously. The female staff member attempts to pacify him by emphasizing that his father is one of their most valued customers, hoping to justify their service choices. Yang, confused and distrustful, repeats the words special customer with skepticism. The staff member explains that Hae-wook's father had specific preferences for certain caddies. However, after a while, all the caddies began refusing to work with him. Left with no options, the club was forced to assign someone inexperienced. A representative informs Hae-wook that although the club will try to provide compensation for the accident, the extent is limited by internal regulations. Hae-wook, processing this, mutters in disbelief that every caddy had turned his father down. Through a phone call, a mysterious speaker mentions that Hae-wook's father has been spending a lot of time at the golf club recently. Coincidentally, the caller also frequents the same club and has heard many things about the father's behavior there. The caller reveals more unsettling information. Hae-wook's father has developed inappropriate, one-sided affections towards certain caddies. The phone screen displays the identity of the caller, Kim Tae-jun, CEO of K-Services. Kim Tae-jun looms over Hae-wook. With a chilling tone, Tae-jun brings up the topic of document manipulation, hinting at the legal consequences awaiting a lawyer who's caught doing so. Still speaking ominously, Kim Tae-jun questions what kind of punishment a lawyer would face for tampering with case files. His expression is calm but menacing. As the sun dipped behind the building, a sudden tension filled the air. News spread quickly. Yang Hae-wook's father had been in an accident. Tae-jun received the update with detached interest. Though the information piqued his curiosity, he quickly dismissed any intent to get involved, reasoning that the situation would keep Hae-wook too occupied to cause trouble. Just as he ended the call, a subtle shift in his expression revealed he'd noticed someone. His eyes widened. From the distance, Hae-wook appeared, fists clenched, striding forward with purpose. Tae-jun greeted him coolly, questioning his unexpected presence. Yang Hae-wook, visibly tense, clenches his fists and points a finger in frustration. He's caught between anger and fear as he demands answers. His mind races. He had assumed the man before him might be armed, but the absence of any weapon makes him think otherwise. Suspicious, He concludes that the man must be secretly recording their interaction with a hidden phone. The observer, staying calm, internally notes that the location is perfect for surveillance, ideal to let things play out. He coolly warns Yang not to start a physical fight unless he wants to incriminate himself, pushing Yang into a corner both emotionally and strategically. Suddenly, the tense atmosphere is broken by a loud ringtone. Hey Wook, who had been trying to secretly record the conversation, is caught off guard, his face contorting in panic. The timing of the call couldn't be worse. Tae-jun, unshaken, mockingly suggests Hey Wook check if his phone is on silent before attempting secret recordings in the future. His smug remark stings, and Hey Wook snaps back in embarrassment. Hey Wook points accusingly, shouting in desperation. He demands to know what the dark-haired man wants from him. Tae-jun calmly echoes back. You want me to tell you? The answer lands like a punch. Your vital organs. Yang recoils in shock, his expression frozen in disbelief. Stepping closer, the dark-haired man gazes at Yang with a cold smile. The sinister calm in his eyes is more frightening than any threat. I'll tear you apart and take away everything that is important to you. As their confrontation escalates, Hey Wook's foot twitches anxiously. The two men stand face to face, and Yang, clenching his teeth, finally admits it aloud. He knows this man is the mastermind behind everything that has gone wrong. Hey Wook, cornered and furious, challenges him to go ahead and kill him. But Tae-jun turns away with a chilling calmness. He tells Hey Wook not to be so scared. He's not going to kill him now, and coldly declares that he can't simply die so easily. Tae-jun continues, calm and cruel, vowing to make Hey Wook suffer for a long time before ensuring his death comes slowly and painfully. So-eun walks downstairs in the quiet early morning. As she steps into the living room, she wonders aloud whether the CEO has already gone out to exercise. She reflects on how often he has been working out recently. The question lingers in her mind. Where is he getting all this energy from? Her hand pauses on the railing. She's reminded that even the day before, he had seemed just as energetic, prompting more unspoken questions in her mind. A steamy flashback reveals a passionate and intense moment between the CEO and So-eun, asking if she thought he was finished. Back in the present, So-eun blushes at the memory. She questions herself, am I overthinking it? But her thoughts don't end there. Under a starlit sky, they shared an intimate moment. As he holds her close, the woman admits that when he speaks like that, she truly wants to believe him. He begins to feel clarity about the path he wants to take in life. Looking into her eyes, he reaffirms his feelings. From now on, he promises, I'll keep my determination to make it possible. His intent is clear. He wants to be with Han So-eun. After dating for 10 years, let's get married. So-eun's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. The memory of a different voice echoes in her mind. A chilling voice proposing marriage after 10 long years of dating. The contrast between past and present leaves her shaken. The haunting memory of a past love surfaces. The man's face is obscured, his words laced with affection but surrounded by a dark, ominous aura. So-eun, I love you. Marry me. Echoes of past praise swirl around So-eun. Voices from her past life and in-laws haunt her thoughts, praising her as the perfect daughter-in-law, the family's greatest blessing. The compliments, once comforting, now feel suffocating and tainted. Gently touching the broken vase surface, So-eun reflects on her vulnerability, how she once trusted the people she loved and believed in a future where they'd always be together. Standing alone and contemplative, So-eun acknowledges how familiar these emotions are. She's been through heartbreak before, but trying to open her heart again is proving more painful than she ever imagined. Suddenly, arms wrap around her. Startled, So-eun stiffens slightly as the CEO draws close from behind her. With a soft expression, the CEO smiles and gently asks if she woke up early. So-eun turns her gaze toward him, her cheeks tinted with a soft blush. She studies him closely, her expression holding a mixture of hesitation and fondness. So-eun, eyes filled with newfound determination, silently promises herself. This time, she will try to believe in love again, despite the fear. From the kitchen, Tae-jun casually asks So-eun about her job while she chats from the living room. Their conversation flows naturally, with playful remarks about breakfast options. As she offers to cook, he gently insists she relax and sit down. They exchange a quiet moment of warmth before he starts preparing the ramen. He hums contentedly while cooking, the morning sunlight casting soft shadows across his relaxed posture. For a moment, everything feels normal and calm. So-eun sits at the table, quietly watching him. With a gentle smile, she begins to hope again. A new thought forms in her mind. This time, she'll take a step forward and try to believe. Suddenly, his phone vibrates on the counter. He turns to check it, a question forming in his eyes as the peaceful moment is abruptly interrupted. The message is grim. Yang Yu-cheol has died, and the time of death was moments after he left the house. The man processes the coincidence with rising concern. He suspects this incident could lead to scandal and begins considering how to protect So-eun, perhaps even assigning her a bodyguard. So-eun, sensing the change in his demeanor, asks if the call was from the company. Her curiosity is piqued by how serious he became after checking his phone. He puts on a gentle smile and lies smoothly, saying the call was from his company and that his grandfather wanted to speak with him. At a funeral altar adorned with white flowers, a framed photo of Yang Yu-cheol rests at the center. He gazes at a large wreath, reading the cold, formal messages of condolence. Despite the display, he reflects bitterly that none of his colleagues, or even the law firm's director, came to the funeral. He feels abandoned, like a man already deemed expendable. His sister approaches and tells him she's taking their mother to the lounge to rest. He responds in a daze, caught in his thoughts. As his sister gently guides their mother away, he silently watches them go. A moment of emotional isolation settles over him. Hae-wook, left behind, reflects to himself that if Han So-eun were present, perhaps things would feel less bleak. Frustration and confusion surge within him. He clenches his fist tightly, unable to make sense of everything that's happening. Dark thoughts swirl in his mind. He recalls how reporters who once swarmed his family vanished suddenly, how Visual Coin collapsed the same day, and how accusations against him for document tampering emerged without warning. He fixates on the injustice that the caddy survived while his father died. Haunted by suspicions, he feels that everything happening around him is too coincidental to be random. The events feel orchestrated, deliberate. He even questions how someone knew he visited a certain house the day before. Staring into the shadowed face of the man he suspects, he's filled with paranoia. He wonders if he was being followed and monitored. With his teeth clenched in rage, Hae-wook shouted, "That crazy bastard." He blames Tae-jun's obsession with So-eun, who he views as ordinary and unremarkable. A company-wide message is sent out by Chief Im Ji-hyung, announcing a disaster simulation drill that will pause mobile services team activity until 10:30 a.m. Lead manager Park Soo-young follows up, instructing everyone to work as usual until the simulation begins and to treat it realistically. One complains that they must pretend to work despite not actually having to. The other humorously summarizes the situation by dubbing the day, "Wantang," a lazy day. So-eun contemplates cleaning her personal email inbox during the lull. The subject line catches her off guard. "It's me, Kim Tae-jun." She pauses in disbelief, struggling to comprehend why someone like Kim Tae-jun would be contacting her. She suspects it's a scam, rationalizing that there's no reason the director would email her personally. Despite her intentions, she accidentally clicks on the suspicious email. The email is from Hae-wook, addressed to So-eun. He reveals that his father died shortly after a confrontation with Kim Tae-jun. Strange events have plagued his family since then: crippling debt, accusations of document tampering, and firm takeovers. Hae-wook believes Kim Tae-jun orchestrated everything, including the entrance of Choi Hyun-jin into their lives. As the announcement echoes through the building, So-eun and other staff members begin making their way to the emergency exit in an orderly line. So-eun processes the contents of Hae-wook's email. She struggles to accept the news that his father passed away so suddenly. Conflicting thoughts cloud So-eun's mind. What Hae-wook claims doesn't match up with what she heard from Choi Hyun-jin, whether he has ever been the subject of bad rumors. The CEO, sitting shirtless on his bed, nonchalantly admits he's never been affected by rumors because he eliminates them. The realization is dawning on her, and she struggles to accept what seems increasingly evident. Startled, So-eun turns around when someone calls out to her. He reminds her that everyone must exit through the emergency route, subtly questioning why she's heading toward the basement instead. It was Tae-jun, and with a smirk, He teases Soon for her apparent disregard for instructions. He offers to tutor her privately. In a quiet stairwell, Soon faces the CEO and delivers unexpected news. Yang Hae-wook's father has passed away. The gravity of her words hangs between them, catching the CEO off guard, and he quietly utters, "Ah." Soon, visibly anxious, asks if he knew about the death. The CEO looks at her, surprised, and asks how she found out. Soon hesitates, beginning to speak Yang Hae-wook's name with uncertainty. Soon quickly lies, saying she received a call from a new number. Internally, she questions herself. Why did she lie so instinctively? The CEO sternly reminds Soon that he had warned her not to answer unfamiliar calls. She admits she thought it might have been about her father, whom she hasn't contacted in years. Soon nervously fidgets with her hands as a troubling thought dawns on her. Could the events surrounding Hae-wook and his father be connected to something deeper? Looking straight into the CEO's eyes, Soon asks with growing concern whether what happened between him and Hae-wook, and the fate of Hae-wook's father, was more than just a coincidence. His voice denies any wrongdoing, asserting that he would never do something like that, though the tension in the air says otherwise. Soon appears startled and flustered as he turns his attention directly to her. He thanks her personally for her hard work. In a surprising moment of intimacy, the CEO gently leans in and places a kiss on Soon's forehead. Her eyes widen in shock as a blush creeps onto her cheeks. A colleague greets the CEO politely, while Soon silently thinks to herself that she needs to go somewhere to clear her mind. The moment leaves her visibly dazed. She told herself she must believe in him. In uncertain times like these, her loyalty must lie with the CEO, not Yang Hae-wook. Her expression is resolute as she silently affirms her decision. Her internal monologue continues. This time, more certain than ever, she needs to have faith. Inside the conference room, the CEO concludes a report, standing confidently before his team. He expresses his gratitude to the future team for their efforts. The CEO informs the group of his upcoming meeting with representatives from IAX and NOCOM. He explains his mission, to collect critical information in the Philippines and report back to the chairman. The team reacts in hushed shock, discussing the recent discovery that their clients' chipsets were all counterfeit. This issue has wide implications, not only for them, but also for the entire main branch of K Electronics. She confirms that his meeting will take place in the Philippines, and he replies calmly, saying he'll leave as soon as possible, but won't be gone too long. With a faint smile, the CEO glances warmly at her. He admits he has someone waiting for him in Korea, suggesting a personal reason for wanting to return quickly. The CEO's words cause a visible reaction. The woman he addressed blushes deeply, while her colleague sitting beside her looks confused. Bo-bae watches in quiet amusement, while the CEO smirks smugly. As night falls, the young woman walks alone, reflecting on the CEO's departure for a business trip. The realization that she'll be spending the night by herself leaves her feeling unsettled. Approaching her apartment, she cautiously peeks around a corner, silently hoping there's no one waiting for her again, clearly still haunted by a previous unsettling encounter. She breathes a sigh of relief when she finds the entrance empty. Yet, even with the CEO's reassurances, fear still lingers within her, making it difficult to truly feel safe. She recalls the night Hae-wook's mother arrived by taxi. Back then, she was too startled to notice, but now she realizes the CEO seemed unusually prepared for her arrival. Looking back, she finds it odd. The director was too busy speaking with Hae-wook's mother to have arranged the taxi, making it clear the CEO had orchestrated it. The woman questions whether the CEO had planned it all in advance. Despite his claim that his appearance was a coincidence, he seemed to know far too much for that to be true. A chilling realization begins to dawn on her, causing her heart to race as she starts walking faster, thoughts racing through her mind. Her breath catches in her throat as fear floods her expression. She opens her smartphone being powered off, the shutdown screen glowing ominously. A note hints that someone might have hacked the phone. She urgently dashes through a stairwell, creating a rising tension. She arrives home, visibly exhausted, leaning against the door after locking it. Soon sits in contemplation, her hand pressed to her forehead in distress. Trying to reassure herself, she breathes out slowly, convincing herself that it's impossible. There's no way he would go that far. but doubt lingers in her eyes. A faint voice calls out, Han So-eun, repeatedly through the door of her apartment. Startled, So-eun reacts with disbelief as she hears the familiar voice of the CEO, questioning his sudden presence. So-eun opens the door cautiously, only to be taken aback when she finds the So-eun standing right in front of her, out of breath and visibly anxious. Breathing heavily, the CEO stares directly at her and softly says her name again, Han So-eun, as if overwhelmed by emotion or urgency. Still trying to understand how he's there, So-eun questions him. The CEO responds casually, explaining he was going to take her out for dinner before his trip, implying he hadn't left yet. She awkwardly replies that she's already eaten. The CEO admits that, honestly, he just had the sudden urge to see her. He gently asks if something happened, sensing unease in her demeanor. Flustered, So-eun denies any issue and quickly fabricates a story, claiming she only saw a cockroach on her way home, trying to deflect suspicion. Internally, So-eun wrestles with her growing doubts. She confesses to herself that she doesn't want to be suspicious of him, even though her instincts are unsettled. Looking at the CEO, she reflects on how his actions, showing up right when she felt unsafe, felt like he had dropped everything just to protect her. She admits she doesn't want to hate him. Her mind spirals with dark questions. Was he really following her, as young Waiwook claimed? Did he sabotage Haewook's career? Was he even responsible for Waiwook's father's death? A wave of uncertainty clouds her thoughts. So-eun finally speaks aloud, asking the CEO if he hired someone to keep watch over her. The question shocks him, his expression frozen, as she demands honesty. Trying to keep the mood light, So-eun says she'd rather know who's watching her. It would be less frightening that way. She forces a smile, masking her underlying anxiety. Moving closer, she guesses that his actions were likely because she rejected his earlier offer of hiring a personal bodyguard. Their faces are inches apart as she speaks with careful clarity. Internally, So-eun reflects that she understands he did it to protect her. She doesn't resent him for it, but if he had betrayed her trust in other ways, like cheating, that would truly hurt her. She acknowledges that instead of resenting him, she should feel grateful. With a soft voice, she thanks him for taking care of her, conveying genuine emotion behind her words. As she leans her head into his chest, the CEO gently cradles her, his hand resting protectively on her head. It's a tender, intimate moment shared between them. They embrace fully, wrapped in each other's arms. Her final thoughts echo clearly. No matter what he's done, he's the only person she can love now. The emotional weight of her acceptance lingers in the silence. At the bustling Manila airport in the Philippines, Tae-jun arrives, overwhelmed by the intense heat and humidity. He loosens his tie, clearly uncomfortable but determined. Despite the climate, he reminds himself there's no time to rest. He must move quickly. His inner thoughts focus on his mission. The first priority is to verify the TF team's information. Once that's confirmed, he plans to move on to the next step, his resolve evident. In a flashback or conversation, So-eun shares that she's been trying to find her father, who lives in the Philippines. She admits she hasn't had contact with him for a long time, revealing a personal and emotional vulnerability. Tae-jun speaks with a local contact, learning that So-eun's father passed away in May of the same year. The cause of death remains unknown. This sparks a new urgency in Tae-jun as he silently vows to investigate further. He walks through the airport terminal. He reflects on the excuse he gave his superiors to justify this trip. He knows time is limited, and he must act quickly to gather all the information before returning to Korea. He gazes thoughtfully out the window, vowing to tell So-eun about her father's death in the most careful and gentle way possible. He hopes to uncover enough truth to soften the emotional impact. A memory surfaces from So-eun's childhood. She blames herself for a tragic accident, believing it happened because she constantly bothered her father instead of letting him rest. Tae-jun appears beside young So-eun, offering her a warm embrace. With solemn resolve, he declares it's time to put an end to all the pain and obstacles that have stood between them. Young Tae-jun embraces So-eun, comforting her tenderly. At a formal conference, the banner announces the 123rd Reunion, Korea Digital Networking Fair. A speaker calls for applause to honor Chairman Kim Jae-pil, indicating his prominent status in the tech industry. Chairman Kim walks across the stage to applause. Chairman Kim casually addresses Secretary Lee. Lee responds dutifully, suggesting they proceed to the next agenda item. But the chairman interrupts with a personal request. Chairman Kim questions Lee's urgency, asking if he can visit the restroom first. Lee responds flustered, clearly caught off guard by the chairman's relaxed demeanor despite the tight schedule. Lee attempts to follow the chairman to the restroom, but the chairman dismisses the idea, cautioning that such behavior would only make others uncomfortable. Inside the restroom, the chairman is caught off guard as a man calls out to him by name. Confused, he responds, trying to recall the man's identity. Hey Wook bows politely, introducing himself and expressing that it's an honor to meet the chairman. Chairman Kim, puzzled, asks if they've met before. The man clarifies they haven't but acknowledges the chairman's high status as the head of K Group. The chairman cautiously asks what he wants. Hey Wook, with a cryptic smile, and begins to ask a provocative question. Were you perhaps aware that his grandson is currently in a relationship? Before the young man can say more, two security guards step in and grab his arms, requesting that he keep his distance and follow proper protocol to meet the chairman. The young man panics, confused by how quickly they arrived. Just as the guards prepare to escort the man away, Chairman Kim raises his hand and stops them. Intrigued, he says the visitor might have something interesting to say and permits him to continue. Chairman Kim calmly confirms what he heard, that his grandson is in a relationship. Hey Wook, flustered but determined, begins to explain that he's not anyone important. Introducing himself as Yong Hae Wook, a lawyer, the man confesses that he lost his girlfriend to Chairman Kim's grandson, Kim Tae-jun. Hae Wook adds that the woman in question, his ex-girlfriend, is named Han So-eun, and he shares his personal connection with her. He continues, revealing that So-eun is a cell phone systems engineer who works in the same building as Kim Tae-jun. Chairman Kim silently processes this new, possibly problematic information. At K Electronics Service, where employees are focused on work, So-eun checks the time on her computer and notes that it's almost lunchtime. She reminds herself that her bodyguard should be arriving soon, hinting at a daily routine or added security. A poised, mysterious woman, who appeared to be Tae-jun's aunt in disguise, enters the building. So-eun's internal monologue suggests suspicion. She wonders if this unfamiliar woman might be the bodyguard she's been expecting. At the service desk, a woman politely approaches the receptionist, asking for assistance. The woman explains that her child accidentally locked her out of her phone. Meanwhile, the child, looking guilty and wrapped in a hoodie, clutches the drawstrings nervously. So-eun explains that the phone must be reset to factory settings. The woman laments over the potential loss of precious baby photos stored on the device. Aunt concluded that the woman assisting customers is the same little girl she last saw 20 years ago. A memory resurfaces. The girl is a child being taken away by her aunt. Aunt in sunglasses reflects bitterly, believing all the money she sent for the girl's upbringing had gone to waste. A touching image of the young girl crying and clinging to her guardian's hand reinforces the emotional weight of the woman's realization that the girl must have endured a difficult childhood. Back in the present, So-eun gently speaks to the child, advising him not to change his mother's passcode again. Unable to process the emotions rising within her, she lowers her head and turns away quietly, leaving the scene quietly. Aunt reflects inwardly, acknowledging that despite the hardships So-eun must have faced, she at least seems to have grown up with a strong sense of morality. A driver respectfully greets the aunt and offers to take her back to headquarters. She responds quietly, asking to be taken back. Seated in the back of the car, she stares out the window in silence, her face contemplative and somber. In a flashback or inner dialogue, Secretary Song holding a teacup offers a philosophical view. No matter what efforts are made, time changes everything, especially young people, and controlling them is often futile. In a quiet thought, the aunt concedes that Secretary Song might have been right after all. At a breakfast table, So-eun gently insists that the other woman call her by her name and expresses gratitude for the care she's received so far, showing humility and warmth. The suited woman with a braid, her bodyguard, remains stoic and professional, replying that she's simply doing her job, minimizing her role with quiet confidence. The bodyguard informs So-eun that she will now be accompanying her at all times, and offers to drive her wherever she needs to go. So-eun responds with wide-eyed surprise and shy excitement, feeling undeserving of such treatment as an ordinary office worker. So-eun, concerned, nervously asks the bodyguard if her job is difficult. The bodyguard calmly reassures her that she hasn't had to use much physical strength and that the CEO himself usually handled matters before. So-eun, puzzled, recalls seeing the older lady at the service desk. Because that lady kept looking at her, she mistakenly assumed it was her assigned bodyguard. Still confused, So-eun replays the memory of a familiar face. She begins questioning whether she was mistaken about the identity and if the recognition was real. In the office, two female employees chat about work routines. One remarks how strange it feels to go straight home after finishing work, while the other says they're just returning to the way things used to be and she'll adjust to it again soon. So-eun internally laments the end of the TF activities, realizing it means she'll see the CEO even less at work. She expresses her dramatic longing, desperately thinking, "I miss you, Mr. CEO." Suddenly, the office phone rings. So-eun's eyes widened with hopeful excitement. Could it be the CEO calling? Her heart races at the possibility that he might have returned from his business trip. Answering the phone, So-eun introduces herself professionally. To her surprise, the voice on the line belongs not to the CEO, but to Director Oh Gab-soo. Her eyes widen in alarm as she realizes it's the branch director. Confused by the unexpected call, So-eun wonders why Director Oh would contact her. Could it be related to the disbanded TF team? Director Oh's voice comes through the phone with a serious tone. He asks So-eun to come to his office immediately. She must not tell anyone about this call. She should come quietly. The scene shifts to an elevator display, indicating that So-eun is on her way up to the 5th floor, silently recalling the director's instructions to come quietly and discreetly. While walking through the hallway, So-eun speculates that the director must be calling her in for something related to the TF team. She reassures herself that she's prepared and determined to do well for the CEO's sake. As she meets Director Oh in person, So-eun greets him with formal nervousness. Without offering any explanation, Director Oh calmly instructs So-eun to follow him, further deepening her confusion and anxiety. So-eun follows the director, but is taken aback when she notices someone else already waiting inside the office. Upon entering, So-eun is greeted by the man already in the room. The unexpected encounter makes her visibly uneasy. Han So-eun internally panics as she realizes that the chairman Lee Han-sung might be aware of her relationship with the CEO, who is also the chairman's grandson. The possibility unnerves her as she accepts the business card. Lee Han-sung formally informs So-eun that he has come to deliver 2 items on behalf of the chairman. She looks surprised and apprehensive, clutching the business card in her hand. The first item is a pouch. So-eun looks at it in confusion, wondering what it could be. Lee Han-sung holds out a phone, stating that the chairman wishes to speak with her directly. So-eun stares at the screen in disbelief as the call from Chairman Kim Jae-pil rings in. Back at the office, Bo-bae notices So-eun returning looking pale and unwell. Concerned, she asks if So-eun is all right, to which So-eun weakly replies that she's fine, despite her shaken demeanor. Bo-bae gasps in recognition upon seeing the pouch. She instantly misinterprets it as a medical pouch, assuming So-eun must be sick. Bo-bae offers to get painkillers from the infirmary. So-eun politely declines, hiding the truth and brushing off the concern to avoid suspicion. So-eun tries to smile, but her tired expression betrays her unease. She softly agrees to let her coworker know if anything changes. Just earlier, So-eun nervously introduces herself to the chairman over the phone. The chairman greets her and directly asks if she received the documents his secretary delivered. Still anxious, So-eun confirms that she has received the pouch and assumes that it contains the documents the chairman referred to, her mind racing to understand the situation. The chairman's assistant advises So-eun to take the pouch home and open it in private. He stresses not to be nervous and to keep this matter between them, to which So-eun agreed. The chairman's voice on the phone gently instructs So-eun to contact him after she reviews the documents. Still at work, So-eun puts on a calm face as her coworker cheerfully offers help, but her reply is quiet and withdrawn. So-eun stares at the closed pouch sitting on her desk, her thoughts racing with curiosity and dread. She can't stop wondering what could be inside. That night, Outside her apartment, So-eun exchanges polite goodbyes with her assigned bodyguard. As she grips her handbag, So-eun feels its weight more than usual. Though she carries it daily, tonight it feels burdened by more than just contents. It's carrying a truth she hasn't yet faced. Walking briskly down a hallway, So-eun is torn between urgency and hesitation. She wants to open the pouch immediately, but part of her dreads what she might find inside. She admits to herself that as a part of her wishes, she never had to open the pouch at all. So-eun carefully begins unzipping the pouch, her thoughts echoing with one haunting question. What could be so important that the chairman needed to speak to her personally? Finally seeing the contents, So-eun's face reflects growing shock. Holding the documents, she worries aloud. How on earth is she supposed to tell this to the CEO? Studying the image, she tries to place the boy's face. She wonders if the photo was taken at a funeral due to the solemn setting. Suddenly, realization dawns on her. Her face freezes in shock. She recognizes the child in the photograph. It's the CEO as a young boy. She recalls hearing that he lost his parents years ago. Holding the photo on her bed, she reflects on how young the CEO looked, and a wave of sadness overtakes her. She notices another photo tucked into the documents and wonders if it too is of the CEO. But she's puzzled. Why does the chairman want her to see these? To her shock, the next photo shows a man in a prison uniform. Her fingers tremble as she realizes it's her father. The discovery overwhelms her. Her expression freezes, shaken and confused by the sudden revelation. She processes the shocking image. It's the first time she's seen a clear, recent photo of her father, one not worn or faded. The photo raises troubling questions. Why does the chairman have it? Who took it? And what are the numbered tags on his clothes? Is it really a prison uniform? She questions why her father looks so ashamed and wonders what he was doing in such a place. So-eun stares at the two photos side by side, one of a young CEO in a funeral setting and the other of her father in a prison uniform. A chilling question forms in her mind. What connection did her father have with the CEO? Echoes of past accusations resurface as she recalls her relatives' cruel words, blaming her father for ruining their future by getting into a fatal car accident. They scorned her for being just like him. So-eun trembles in disbelief. As sweat runs down her face, she shakes her head, refusing to accept what she's uncovering. Her hands tremble as she clutches the documents scattered across the bed. A news clipping reveals that the CEO of K Electronics, Kim Suk-woo, died in a car crash. The case report names Han Hong-suk, So-eun's father, as the accused. Her mind reels in shock and denial. The report details how her father fell asleep at the wheel and collided with an oncoming truck. The crash killed both Kim Suk-woo and his wife. So-eun screams internally, shattered by the revelation. She reaches for her phone and calls her aunt, barely managing to introduce herself through her tears. Still shaken, So-eun tries to compose herself. She hesitantly tells her aunt she has a question. Her voice cracks as the truth she fears begins to surface. Fighting through anguish, So-eun finally asks her aunt the unbearable question. Did her father kill people? Staring at her father's photo again, So-eun begs for a denial. She pleads with herself and the universe that her father wasn't responsible, that the chairman must be wrong. Her aunt's response carries the weight of fate. Now that you're an adult, it's time you hear the full story. A man, speaking solemnly to So-eun, explains that it was her father's wish to keep the truth hidden. He didn't want her to grow up known as the daughter of a murderer. Despite tensions and disagreements, the family honored his request and kept the promise they made to him. In a flashback, a young So-eun listens in tears as she's told that her father's accident didn't just hurt a wealthy family, it killed them. This was the only lie her guardians told her, one meant to shield her from the painful truth. So-eun asks if the victims were from the powerful K group. The person on the phone confirms this, explaining that the deceased were the son of the chairman and his wife, who left behind a young boy now raised by the chairman. Her eyes reflect the weight of a revelation that is now deeply personal. She finds a sticky note that reads, "After you see everything, call me tomorrow at 8 p.m. So-eun reflects on why she never pressed the CEO about his past. She didn't want to reopen old wounds, choosing instead to be gentle with the emotional lines that may have scarred him. They had chosen to live in the moment, cherishing their present love and dreaming of a future together. The weight of the past hadn't been a part of their world until now. As she rests her head on his shoulder, Soon wonders silently how much the Seon knows about his own past. Her eyes search the sunset as a quiet doubt begins to bloom. She acknowledges the harsh truth. He likely wouldn't love her if he knew she was the daughter of the man who killed his parents. Yet at the same time, she realizes he must have fallen for her without knowing any of it. Blushing with heartbreak, Soon concludes that the CEO gave her his heart blindly. And if that's truly the case, the weight of this truth threatens everything they've built. Soon reflects silently. If the CEO truly knows nothing about the past, maybe she can still remain by his side a little longer. Soon gently holds the CEO's sleeve, desperate to extend her time with him. Sitting on the floor with her head buried in her arms, Soon admits in a whisper that she'll surely be punished by God for this. Her guilt and sorrow crash down on her, leaving her completely alone in the dark. Time creeps closer to a crucial moment. 8 p.m., the agreed hour to call after reviewing the documents. Han So-eun, seated tensely in her room, makes the anticipated call. She introduces herself to the chairman and confirms she has read the documents. So-eun, clutching her phone tightly, nervously asks the chairman if Kim Tae-jun knows about any of this. The chairman reflects in silence. He once said this secret would remain just between them. He had taken careful steps to keep it hidden from the rest of the company, including his own grandson. It becomes clear to So-eun that the chairman deliberately shielded Tae-jun from the truth. He likely feared how it might emotionally damage his cherished grandson. But now, So-eun finds herself torn. If Tae-jun truly doesn't know about their past, leaving him without an explanation would break his heart. Gathering courage, she prepares to tell the chairman something important, something that might change everything. The chairman interrupts her mid-sentence, asking if they should meet in person to clarify everything. Misunderstanding, she wonders if her voice isn't clear enough over the phone. The chairman reveals with eerie calm that he's already in the apartment right above hers. He invites her to his place, apartment 404, insisting they continue the conversation face-to-face in a more comfortable setting. Standing before the door marked 404, So-eun's mind spins. She can't believe she's about to speak directly with the chairman of K-Group. An encounter that once felt so distant is now only a few steps away. Han So-eun stands outside the apartment door. Anxious thoughts swirl in her mind. With determination setting into her expression, So-eun tells herself there's nothing left to fear. She reassures herself. She has nothing else to lose, and steels herself for whatever comes next. Her finger hovers over the doorbell, firm and deliberate. If the chairman crosses any lines, she resolves to match his resolve, ready to show just how far she's willing to go. So-eun is startled to find the chairman already there, catching her off guard when she was about to press the bell. With a warm, welcoming smile, the chairman gently invites her in, setting a surprisingly calm and civil tone for the conversation that awaits. So-eun greets the older man at the door with visible nervousness. She forces a smile and says, "Hello, Mr. Chairman," trying to remain composed despite her shaken emotions. The chairman invites So-eun to sit, explaining that he rented the apartment just for the day. As she silently processes how unusual the setup is, her thoughts admit that this strangeness isn't even the most bewildering part of what's happening. The chairman calmly addresses her, stating he will first answer the question she had asked him earlier. His words instantly capture So-eun's attention. He begins to explain that Tae-jun was originally supposed to stay in the U.S. until next year, when he'd return to take on a role at the company's headquarters. But instead, Tae-jun came back a year earlier, claiming he wanted to start at the customer service center. The chairman gently reveals that the real reason for Tae-jun's early return wasn't business at all. It was her. So-eun, stunned, hears that Tae-jun came back just to see her again. So-eun is visibly overwhelmed. Her wide eyes and trembling lips show a storm of disbelief and confusion. Her mind races as the implications of the chairman's words begin to sink in. She tries to process the revelation, struggling to understand. "Wait, what are you trying to say?" she stammers. Her thoughts spiral. Did Tae-jun know who she was all along? So-eun lowers her gaze, distressed. She tries to reason it out, rejecting the idea. It just doesn't make sense to her. If Tae-jun had truly known her identity, why would he act the way he did? The chairman smiles warmly, praising Tae-jun as a remarkable man, one who is perhaps too kind for his own good. His affectionate tone contrasts with So-eun's inner turmoil. So-eun sits silently, frozen in place. Her mind and emotions are tangled in disbelief, uncertainty, and something unspoken, possibly the dawning realization of Tae-jun's feelings for her. The chairman folds his hands and calmly declares that he has never used his grandson for personal gain. He explains that he never pressured him to marry either. He only wanted his grandson to live a happy life with a good, ordinary woman. Despite his earlier statements, the chairman confesses that there is one person he absolutely cannot allow his grandson to be with, and that person is Han So-eun. Internally, So-eun tries to resist being swayed by this direct opposition. With a subtle, almost sly smile, the chairman expresses his understanding of why So-eun held on in the past, because she didn't know the truth. But now that she does, he implies, everything is different. So-eun, overwhelmed and struggling with her thoughts, reminds herself that she had prepared everything she wanted to say. Gathering her resolve, So-eun says she doesn't believe her relationship with Kim Tae-jun will last forever. She reasons that with time, his feelings will settle and they'll naturally drift apart. Clutching her skirt, So-eun begins to speak about Tae-jun directly. But inwardly, she's surprised at her own emotional resistance. These were always her beliefs, so why is it suddenly so difficult to express them? Head lowered and eyes filled with tears, So-eun tells herself that by doing this, she's making sure Tae-jun won't have any regrets in the future. She appears visibly shaken. She questions her own emotions, unable to understand why she's reacting so strongly when she thought she was prepared for this. As So-eun sits in stunned silence, the chairman reaches towards something off-screen. Her eyes widen in anticipation as he prepares to reveal something important. The chairman shows her a photo of a smiling man surrounded by cheerful women. He asks if she knows him. His name is Yang Yuchil. The chairman recalls how, after meeting So-eun, Tae-jun made a significant investment in a golf club frequented by a particular man. Using the excuse of inspecting his investment, Tae-jun visited the place several times, quietly observing operations and clientele. Through his quiet surveillance, Tae-jun eventually identified Yang Yuchil as one of the club's high-profile, special customers, an important clue that signaled deeper motives. The chairman reflects with uncertainty, unable to determine if Tae-jun's original intent was simply to monitor Yang Yuchil or if he had intended to eliminate him from the beginning. A close-up of Tae-jun's shadowed face reveals his sharpened gaze. The chairman concludes that while Tae-jun's motives may be unclear, one fact remains. Something irreversible was set in motion the moment Tae-jun saw So-eun again. The emotional weight of Tae-jun's unresolved resentment is laid bare. It becomes evident that this emotional burden catalyzed consequences that couldn't be undone. As a result of this lingering resentment, destruction follows. Chess pieces scatter across the floor, a metaphor for the calculated but chaotic unraveling Tae-jun has set into motion. The chairman solemnly observes that Tae-jun has begun to unravel. So-eun, visibly shaken, clutches a stack of documents, an investment contract and a customer ledger, suggesting she's now holding proof of Tae-jun's actions. As she reads, a blurred background of accusations and scandal floods her vision. She reflects on how their family began collapsing after her encounter with Tae-jun, hinting at a deliberate retaliation orchestrated against her. Tae-jun, shown smirking against the backdrop of scandal, calmly confesses. He simply eliminates anything that stands in his way, an admission of his ruthless transformation. The chairman, burdened by guilt and desperation, declares his willingness to give anything within his power to help. Kneeling, sacrificing an arm, anything. His devotion is clear. He came with a specific plea. With his head lowered in shame, the chairman explains that as long as Tae-jun remains with her, he'll never escape his past. He believes he's protecting someone he deeply cares about. She sits in silence, the weight of his words settling over her. He warns her that their relationship, no matter how sincere, will only end up causing pain for the man they both care about. Tears stream down her face as she quietly absorbs his warning. Her heart breaks, not from his cruelty, but from the truth she fears might already be unfolding. Sunlight streams in through the window. A soft cough escapes her as she types a message on her phone, her body weak and her emotions heavier than ever. Their conversation continues over messages. The CEO, concerned, offers to come see her, but she declines. She insists she needs rest and prefers to be alone when she's sick. Alone in bed, she curls up with her phone, coughing and exhausted, realizing she's in no condition to return to work. Her flushed face reflects her illness, but her eyes reveal something deeper, hurt and hesitation. Lying in bed, she begins to reflect. She's had these thoughts before, the wish for a simpler life and a more peaceful relationship. She imagines a love untouched by the weight of background, money, or status. A love that's uncomplicated, where they could just enjoy each other. It's the kind of love she yearns for with all her heart. Her wish is simple, to be with a good man. Tears slipped from her closed eyes. She tries to convince herself she's lucky for having felt love at all, even if it was brief. Her voice trembles with uncertainty. Right? The screen fades into a dim blur as she stirs awake. She realizes she had fallen asleep and feels slightly better. Her headache has eased. Suddenly, she hears a familiar voice. Someone gently touches her forehead and remarks that she has a bad fever. Her wide, teary eyes open in shock. Tae-jun, having come anyway, gazes down at her with concern, softly asking if she feels that bad. She looks up at him, flushed and vulnerable, as he gently asks if she's in pain. His worried gaze lingers on her face, his concern clear in his expression. Still dazed, she demands to know why he's there. With a tinge of disappointment, he hadn't expected her to question his presence. A fit of coughing interrupts her panic, and he immediately supports her. Apologetic and gentle, he tells her she was just startled and tries to soothe her as she struggles to catch her breath. He speaks firmly but kindly, reminding her that being alone while sick isn't good. He tells her to start getting used to his presence. He reasoned that they'll continue being together from now on. Her wide eyes capture the flood of emotions, and in a voice of conflicted clarity, she internally repeats that she must be crazy. Crazy for letting herself fall deeper despite everything. He might have killed someone. Yet as he worries about her not eating and prepares to heat up the porridge he brought, his tenderness contradicts the fearsome image painted by others. Even though her mind tells her she should feel resentful, her body doesn't resist. She knows she should hate him. And yet, in this moment of quiet care, she can't bring herself to. She sits up in bed, arms folded over the blanket and her body still tense, watching him from across the room. Her eyes glimmer with hesitation, the morning sun pouring in. She is glad her vision is bad. If it weren't, she would probably just keep crying endlessly. She sits on the floor by the window, sunlight washing over her slumped frame. Her head rests on her arms, knees drawn in. The quiet moment feels suspended in time, and the glowing light hints at something more, something remembered. A vision from her childhood surfaces. A young boy, bathed in light, smiles brightly as This is called my geom, he says. Dust like gold powder. Her eyes shoot open at the sound of his voice. Are you okay? He asks, concerned. The sudden attention jolts her from the memory. He gently scolds her for sitting up while unwell, suggesting she lie down again. She smiles weakly and insists she has to get up if she wants to eat. He softly brushes hair from her face, noting that she must have been hungry. His voice is gentle. He tells her the porridge is still cooking and asks her to wait just a little longer. She gazes at him, quietly moved by his care. She clutches her arm tightly, overwhelmed. Her inner thoughts spiral. No way. The gesture reveals her trembling effort to stay composed as emotions threaten to unravel again beneath the surface. Then asks if he knows the name of the sparkling, gold-like dust in the air. She gazes at him with a mix of vulnerability and anticipation as she waits for his response. His usually composed expression falters slightly as he looks at her, lost in thought. Sitting beside her on the edge of the bed, he answers with quiet reverence, my geom. The room is bathed in the same golden dust, gently illuminating their closeness. He smiles warmly, the sunlight dancing on his features, and shares that my geom was his grandmother's name, his voice tinged with fond remembrance. Startled and moved, Soon reacted with wide-eyed surprise. In a soft memory or symbolic recollection, open hands catch the golden dust as a voice repeats the word, my geom, describing it as dust like gold powder, linking it to both beauty and remembrance. Little So-eun echoes the name in awe, eyes wide with wonder as the golden dust shimmers around her tiny hands, capturing a moment of innocent fascination. Playfully, she questions her Tae-jun about how he knew such a poetic word. She's filled with admiration and envy, teasing him and guessing a teacher told him. He shrugs off her teasing with bashful deflection, then quietly reveals the truth. It was their grandmother's name, grounding the word in a personal and emotional legacy. Her wide eyes show her realization. Internally, she notes how close he is to crying. Her thoughts spiral, wondering if she upset him, if she made him sad. Her inner voice insists that she never wants to see her older brother cry again. In an attempt to lift the mood, she suddenly suggests playing hide and seek, declaring that this time she'll be the seeker, hoping to distract and cheer him up. Caught off guard, Tae-jun stares at her, confused by the sudden shift. He questions how she plans to play, teasing her for. He initially protests playfully, but relents to the girl's enthusiasm and agrees to be the seeker. However, inwardly, he plans to sneak away once the game starts, hiding his true intentions. So-eun now remembers. Young So-eun hides in a bush in the wide garden, her thoughts wandering. She reflects on how often she ran through this place in the past, whether as seeker or hider. Now, sitting and waiting, her legs start to tingle as she wonders why Appa hasn't come to find her yet. Fear creeps in as So-eun sits hidden. Her imagination grows dark. What if her Appa never finds her this time? The shadows around her amplify her unease. Behind a partially open door, two adults gossip about So-eun. One asks how long she'll be staying and says it's up to the chairman. Their casual comments imply she's pitiful, always waiting for her father. Unbeknownst to them, little So-eun stands nearby and overhears everything. Her wide, tear-filled eyes reflect the pain of their words. The woman remarks on how pitiful So-eun looks, always waiting for her father to return. So-eun's teary eyes glisten. Her internal thoughts spiral with doubt. What if her brother and father have truly forgotten her? She fears being lost forever, unseen and abandoned. The emotion becomes too much. So-eun begins to sob openly, wiping her tears with both hands as the weight of loneliness overcomes her. Suddenly, a voice breaks through her sadness. Her Appa appears in front of her and says, "Found you." Surprised, So-eun looks up from her crouched position. Her Appa, standing in the sunlight and peering into the bushes, gently scolds her. He tells her that making a sound spoiled the game, suggesting he had been trying to make it fun, not realizing how distressed she had become. The girl runs straight into his arms, crying out his name in distress. Caught off guard, Tae-jun is stunned as she clings to him, trembling and sobbing. Tears stream down her face as she confesses through gasps that she thought he had forgotten about her. Her fear of abandonment spills out in raw emotion. Still crying against his chest, she admits her deeper fear, that no one would ever come for her again. Tae-jun listens silently, his expression full of guilt and pain. He gently closes his eyes, moved by her words. Then, firmly but softly, he promises her that from now on, she should just hide, because no matter where she hides, he will always find her. They stand close in the sunlight as he adds a final condition. She must not cry, or else he won't play with her anymore. She nods with a tearful but trusting sound of agreement. Now an adult, So-eun looks at her phone with misty eyes. Internally, she acknowledges that it was him. He was the kind of Appa who stayed by her side. She remembers how, despite all his own suffering, he remained strong for her. She took a photo of him tasting the soup he's cooking and mutters to himself that it's a bit salty. Despite everything, he hasn't changed, not even a bit. As she watches him from afar, her eyes filled with lingering emotion. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and takes the phone from her grip. His voice calmly but firmly says, "Give it to me." In the next moment, the scene softens. The warm sunlight floods the space, and So-eun likens life to dust, something that usually drifts unnoticed, but glimmers when touched by light. She thinks of how life can suddenly shimmer like golden powder under sunlight. Through the lens of her phone, she sees the boy beside her, both of them caught in a quiet moment of beauty. Leaning into his embrace, So-eun makes a silent wish to think only of herself for once, to hold on to this fleeting peace without guilt. He smiles down at her, declaring that even this short-lived love limited to just 1 week, will become a lifetime's worth of happiness for him. They pose together, smiling softly at the camera. So-eun tells herself to cherish this moment and smile for her own sake, for her own happiness. As he tenderly cups her face, gazing into her eyes, she realizes that this moment, right now, is enough. Their lips meet in a soft kiss. So-eun closes her eyes, accepting that she is merely passing through, just a visitor in a moment of beauty, like golden dust drifting down through sunlight. Inside a quiet boxing gym, the sound of a punching bag echoes through the space. Tae-jun trains alone, releasing tension with each powerful hit. His inner thoughts reveal that the recent business trip exceeded all expectations. As he continues to punch the bag with relentless force, he reflects on the evidence collected from the Philippine factory. It solidified the TF team's report, likely satisfying his grandfather's demanding standards. Striding across the gym floor, he considers another breakthrough. Their investigation into Han So-eun's father's death made progress thanks to the cooperation of a counselor in the Philippines. Though everything seems to be falling into place, the man's expression grows conflicted. Amid the sweat and exertion, he wonders why he still feels unsettled inside. Delivering a fierce blow to the bag, he's struck by the question gnawing at him. Why does uneasiness linger despite the success? Pausing to catch his breath, he lifts his sweat-soaked shirt and wipes his face. The physical exhaustion does little to relieve the emotional unrest. Was his root of his discomfort because of Han So-eun? Memories of her flash through his head. He had believed she was doing better. But doubt creeps in. Was she pretending to be fine just to keep him from worrying? Flashback to when Han So-eun wakes up confused and shocked to see him by her side. In episode 26, she fainted from bad health. He frets silently, afraid she might collapse again. Perhaps a trip together would help lift both her spirits and his lingering worries. On a crowded city bus, So-eun grips a hand strap with a steady hand. Having internal monologue, she reflected, the heart is like a paper boat set adrift on a stream without much thought, sometimes drifting too far away. The heart that drifts far, far away ends up loving not just you, but the world you live in. Even if that world pushes me away when I'm beside you, it makes it impossible to even hate. That's why you shouldn't have started in the first place. You don't just fold a paper boat and let it drift away carelessly. You should have just kept it with you. Back in a Stark office, the chairman tells So-eun of a deposit account in her name in the U.S. He urges her to go abroad, withdraw the money, and live freely, his offer cloaked in a false sense of kindness and release. He assures her he'll handle her resignation and any complications that might arise. For someone like him, whom she wanted to give everything to, the only thing she can do now is let him go. In the bustling city, So-eun prepares to get off the bus. Her departure becomes symbolic. Her steps blend into the crowd, and her quiet resolve is clear. She's choosing to vanish rather than weigh others down with the burden of her scars, ensuring no part of her pain touches them. As she walks away, fading into the rhythm of the busy street, the final thought lingers. Let's not become foolish. A silent promise to move forward with dignity, even in quiet heartbreak. As Han So-eun walks through the bustling city street, her internal voice cautions her to burden him with the history of her scars. It's disappearing forever so that she won't leave the smallest scar on him. She told herself not to become foolish. Inside the future service team office, colleagues prepare for the team's disbandment. So-eun organizes equipment while casual chatter fills the room. Plans for an after-party and last-minute errands indicate the bittersweet end of a shared journey. Secretary Song announces she must leave early to celebrate her husband's birthday. With a smile, she wishes the team fun at the after-party, receiving grateful cheers in return. Just as she turns to leave, So-eun stops her with a call. Secretary Song pauses in the doorway, surprised, and gently questions whether So-eun is heading out too. So-eun holds out a gift box, presenting it carefully. Secretary Song unwraps the box to find a delicate baby outfit. So-eun explains it's a birth gift, something she bought in passing, moved by the idea of giving early blessings. Emotion warms So-eun's expression as her colleague repeats with sincere surprise, "You didn't have to." So-eun recalled a time when Secretary Song had sent her a porridge gift certificate during her sick leave. It was a simple gesture, yet one that offered comfort and care, one she never forgot. In a quiet flashback, So-eun reading the message, touched that Secretary Song was the kindest adult she'd ever met. With affection, So-eun wished for Secretary Song to have a healthy delivery. Confused by So-eun's distant tone, she reassures her that only the TF team is disbanding. They'll still be nearby, as always. Suddenly, Taejun appears and awkwardly interrupts the moment by asking if the after-party venue is set. His unexpected presence surprises both women. Secretary Song excuses herself, saying her husband is waiting. She flashes them a teasing smile, wishing the two a good time, which flusters them both with a hint of embarrassment. Taejun asks about the other team members, and So-eun responds with a smile. They've already gone ahead to the restaurant after dropping things at the support team. He asks if she's cleaning up alone. She shrugs it off, saying it's just small tasks, and he will help her. As she walks off, he stammers, "Me," realizing he's just been roped in. A shot of neatly organized storage boxes sparkles with exaggerated shine. The man, slightly annoyed, thinks to himself, "In the end, I helped." As they stand in the now empty room, So-eun says goodbye to the place. He tells her she can come back any time, that the room will remain vacant just for her. She looks away with a soft expression and says quietly, "I have no excuse to come." Taejun offers with a sly smile, "I can create an excuse if needed." So-eun speaks to his fearless nature, how he boldly goes after what he wants. So-eun reminds him gently that they should head to the restaurant. He asks to stay just a little longer. Her inner monologue acknowledges the depth of his love and how hard it will be for him when she leaves. As she gently steps closer and he says, "Come here," So-eun hesitates, whispering that others must be waiting. Still, the space between them closes, drawn by emotion too strong to resist. He leans in close and embraces her tightly, while her inner thoughts reveal guilt. She knows he will struggle, trying to abandon everything and go to her. Without even realizing he was breaking apart because of her, without any lingering regrets. Trying to shift the mood, he casually asks if she wants to hang out over the weekend. She panics, blurting out a strong no, before scrambling to explain that traveling far makes her tired. He pouts, slightly hurt by her reaction. With concern, he asks if she wants to get a health checkup. She immediately deflects, saying it's not serious and admits that he has a trauma related to health checkups. He tries to lighten the mood by jokingly asking if she plans to go her whole life without a health check. He smiles playfully, but there's a hint of worry behind his teasing. His expression softens as he quietly offers to help her overcome it. His sincerity leaves her momentarily speechless. She tries to brush it off, saying the company provides health checkups anyway. But he presses further, saying he still wants to hang out over the weekend, signaling that it's not just about health, but about spending time together. She smiles as she reveals that even a simple visit to a swimming pool would make her happy. She recalls how the last time she went to a pool, she was just a child. Blushing with genuine gratitude, she thanks him for taking her to the swimming pool. Her words carry an emotional weight, as if revisiting a significant piece of memory they shared. He stares at her, his blue eyes wide with emotion, as if caught off guard by the depth of her appreciation. A quiet intensity passes between them. His gaze softens, revealing a moment of inner contemplation. He briefly flipped on the table, her breath caught as she asked, "Why? Why?" While he hovers over her, gripping her wrist, eyes intense with unspoken emotion. Without warning, he leans down and gently kisses her on the forehead, leaving So-eun wide-eyed and breathless in stunned silence. He places a hand on her leg, but her voice trembles as she says, "Wait." Just then, she softly calls his name, Han-son, her lips touched by his fingers. With his hand cradling her face, he looks into her eyes and murmurs, "Don't say things like that," his voice low and tender, almost pleading. He leans in and kisses her deeply, cupping her chin delicately as her hands clench in silent reaction, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. Their kiss deepens, and he whispers, "Good girl," in a voice thick with emotion, while her inner voice reflects, "It's always like this. But still, I like you." Even when she tries to stop, her heart races faster because of him. Their steps move in sync, but her thoughts linger on how fundamentally different they are. They lie together on the table, wrapped in each other's arms. Her fingers grip his back while his lips linger near hers, tangled in silence and longing. The director thanks everyone for their hard work and encourages them to get home safely. His team responds appreciatively, acknowledging his own efforts during the day. Outside a restaurant, So-eun stands beside the director while another colleague gets into a car. He offers to drive So-eun, and she hesitates momentarily before responding. As city lights flicker around them, So-eun internally reflects that her time with the director is nearing its end. Seated in the passenger seat, So-eun gazes out the window with a soft smile, trying to memorize everything about this moment. Her expression carries both warmth and a hint of sadness. The director drives with a gentle smile, unaware of her inner farewell. She resolves to make meaningful use of everything she's experienced by his side. The car comes to a stop in a quiet residential street. So-eun looks surprised and confused as she realizes the car doors are locked. She asks Tae-jun to unlock it so they can get out. Tae-jun laughs awkwardly about how unusually smooth the traffic was that night. So-eun comments wryly that maybe the driver just knows the best routes, subtly avoiding deeper questions. He lowers his gaze and quietly admits he doesn't want to leave. His words hang in the air, vulnerable and filled with unspoken longing. Still seated in the car, he asked if he should come to this place again. She answers simply, but leaves her question of why unanswered. The man leans against the car window, gently smiling as he suggests that their closeness might be the reason for the distance. He mentions that So-eun seems to have no plans of returning to Seoul. In a sudden, light-hearted moment, the man proposes buying and remodeling the building. The woman laughs nervously, pointing out the consequence of displacing the tenants. With a determined yet playful tone, the man urges her to just come to Seoul. His desire for proximity is laid bare, unfiltered. So-eun turns to glance at him in surprise. Internally, she reflects with bittersweet affection, calling him the prince, unaware of the reality she carries in her heart. Outside room 304, he says his goodbye for the night, promising to return the next day. She simply asks, why? Puzzled, he answered as if it should be obvious. Can't he just go see her? Blushing, she echoes his sentiment, advising him to save weekends for their time and not make other plans. Her tone carries a mix of hope and anxiety. But internally, a grim possibility sets in for her. Their weekends may no longer come. Really? This might be the end of it all. The thought of capturing those beautiful eyes and being so close. So, this is their last time like this. She doesn't like it. What should she do? It's so greedy to want. Even more. But she loves that possessiveness. The weight of their closeness lingers in silence, teetering on the edge of goodbye. As she tightly grips her skirt, the woman inwardly laments that this might be their last moment together. Her heart aches with reluctance, unable to accept the looming farewell. He gently leans in, admitting he'd feel sad if he couldn't see her tomorrow. His closeness stuns her, her heart thudding in response. Overwhelmed by the rush of emotions, the two finally share a tender, passionate kiss. Time seems to stand still in their shared vulnerability. With a soft smile, he suggests they meet again on the weekend. His eyes convey warmth and quiet hope for continued connection. She gazes up at him with parted lips and flushed cheeks, caught off guard by his tenderness. Her feelings surface through her eyes. With her head slightly bowed, she gives a quiet, blushing response. Yes, on the weekend, she agrees, almost like a promise to herself. A new day dawns and the city bustles. It's already Friday, and the countdown to their meeting begins. Friday arrives, and the city glows under the evening sky. In the office, Bobia cheerfully wraps up her day, excited to head out. To her surprise, So-eun hands Bo-bae a gift. Her wide-eyed reaction shows her curiosity and delight and asked what the occasion was. So-eun reasoned that it was nothing special. She remembered that Bo-bae liked this scent. She just happened to see it when shopping. Bo-bae wished So-eun a good weekend. Then Chef Jang plans on leaving next. She told him she'll leave the presentation to him. Puzzled, he questioned whether the presentation was supposed to be her. She reasoned that he is more knowledgeable. Humbled, he denied bashfully. She begged him to take it this time. She handed him a gift, a vanilla latte which he liked, so she gave him one. Troubled by her action, he told her she really didn't have to, but she insisted. Flashback to when she asked if he likes vanilla latte, and he shouted bashfully that he does like it. He took the vanilla latte. He whispered to her that he's the only one who knows about her feelings toward the director. He will keep it a secret. She apologized again. He admitted that their CEO seems to her a lot more than him. After regular work hours, So-eun was alone in the repair workshop fixing devices. Her inner monologue reveals that she's found true happiness in this space. Flashes of her experiences come back, moments of repairing broken devices she once thought impossible to fix. She remembers the warmth of grateful customers who thanked her. She reflects on the relationships she's built, realizing she's no longer alone. Surrounded by friendly faces, she recalls how connections slowly returned to her life. While working, her phone buzzes. She checks the message. It's from the director, asking her to come upstairs. A close-up of her face shows her smile softly forming. There's a quiet understanding and calm anticipation behind her eyes. Still at her desk, she savors the moment, working in peace and fulfillment. A simple caption captures it all. Such happiness. She walks through a modern corridor and pauses when she sees Secretary Song. Calling out gently, she says, "Team lead Han." Secretary Song warmly thanks her for a beautiful gift from last time, saying her husband appreciated it and asked her to extend his gratitude. Secretary Song asks if she's here to see the CEO and informs her he's inside. She gives her the go-ahead to enter and leaves with a cheerful goodbye. Tae-jun invites her in, and she hesitantly greets him, surprised by his unexpected presence so near the entrance. She asks if he's leaving, noticing him near the door. He replies he's not leaving just yet. There's something important he wants to talk about. Looking serious and contemplative, Tae-jun tells So-eun that he visited his grandfather, a statement that instantly draws a shocked expression from her. Inside the chairman's luxurious office, the mood is calm yet formal. The chairman praises Tae-jun for his work, setting the tone for a serious conversation about corporate matters. The chairman, reviewing documents, instructs his team to prepare for next month's board meeting and raises concern about financial movements in their Philippine affiliates. Tae-jun expresses hesitation, warning that revealing all findings at the board meeting could destabilize the company, especially with sensitive information tied to President Kim Sang-deok. Kim Sang-deok, Tae-jun's uncle and the president of the mobile services branch, is introduced with a calculating look, hinting at deeper tensions and political struggles within the company. The chairman bluntly states it's time for Sang-deok to step down, dismissing his capabilities and implying disappointment in his performance. With a subtle shift, the chairman reassures Tae-jun, acknowledging his readiness and implying that he is the more competent heir to the corporate throne. The chairman explains that Tae-jun will begin preparing to take over his duties gradually, but Tae-jun reminds him of his own condition. He plans to return only when he turns 31. Smirking knowingly, the chairman suggests that they might move the timeline up, confident that no obstacles will stand in the way of the succession. In the present, Tae-jun quietly tells So-eun that he recently met with his grandfather and shared the reports, implying a pivotal meeting that secured his standing. So-eun, surprised and caught off guard, initially misinterprets Tae-jun's words, her inner thoughts showing she had assumed he was referring to something more personal. So-eun reflects on the upcoming board meeting and the many unknowns still surrounding it. Internally, she struggles with whether or not to tell Tae-jun the truth, that she'll be gone by next week. So-eun hesitantly suggests that manager Jang might be better suited for the presentation due to his experience, but Tae-jun gently insists that he only wants her by his side. And So-eun wordlessly leans over, resting her head beside his in a silent show of comfort and closeness. Tae-jun admits they may not see each other often going forward due to his grandfather's expectations. He's tasked with meeting many people to raise his profile before the board meeting, leaving So-eun concerned. Though So-eun holds him tightly, Tae-jun reassures her with a gentle smile that they'll still spend the weekend together, offering a sliver of warmth despite the looming distance. As they stand together, Tae-jun asks if she's packed, and So-eun answers that she mostly has. He tells her to leave first and promises to pick her up after finishing work. Looking at her with a playful smile, Tae-jun declares he'll be with her the entire weekend and teasingly asks if she's ready for that, trying to lift her spirits. So-eun laughs softly at his words, touched by his tenderness. Internally, she reflects that Tae-jun doesn't know the truth yet, that their farewell has already been set in motion. As night falls, So-eun narrates that their goodbye is proceeding exactly as the chairman planned. He's already handled her apartment deposit and severance pay. Through a view of her apartment window, Soon reveals the chairman also took care of her resignation, arranged for the apartment to be cleaned, and even secured her passport and plane tickets. Clothes are strewn across the floor, signaling the final phase of her departure. Only one step remains before she leaves. She kneels in silence, packing her suitcase with care, mentally preparing herself to act like everything is normal, only to disappear without leaving a trace. She eyes a duffel bag that's meant to appear as casual luggage for a weekend trip, a disguise to hide her real intentions. Nearby stands the actual suitcase filled with her essentials. She plans to secretly place it in a designated room, trusting the chairman to handle it once she's gone. A message notification catches her attention. He's on his way and tells her to meet him upstairs with her luggage, causing her eyes to widen in surprise. Now that everything is arranged, she feels oddly calm. She convinces herself that this ending is necessary, that it will finally bring closure. She looks back one last time at the familiar space she once called home, her expression a mixture of determination and sorrow. Standing in the doorway with both her disguise bag and true luggage, she silently bids farewell to her home. Night has fallen over the city as cars make their way through glowing streets. Her journey of separation is now in motion. Sitting quietly in the passenger seat, she feels a lump in her throat. The weight of knowing it's their last time together renders her uncertain and emotional. As he gazes off in thought, Taejun breaks the silence with a sharp, yet vulnerable question. He heard she gave a gift to Secretary Song. His tone carries a mix of curiosity and subtle jealousy. Still behind the wheel, he smiles playfully and asks what about him, suggesting that he too would like a gift, teasing lightly to shift the mood. Soon can't help but smile at his playful response, her features softening as the tension begins to dissolve. She clarifies in a calm voice that it was baby pajamas, a traditional gesture before childbirth. He repeated, baby pajama, almost shyly, that maybe someday for them too, hinting at a future she feels guilty of. Flustered by her own boldness, Soon admits she actually bought him a gift too, something she picked up while shopping, despite his earlier teasing. She offers him the small wrapped box, her gesture quiet, but meaningful as she hands it over with a simple, here. He is completely stunned, clutching the gift with sparkling eyes, heart visibly fluttering. Her unexpected present leaves him both thrilled and speechless. Still overwhelmed, he asks if he can open it immediately. She points out he's driving, but he insists on pulling over to savor the moment properly. With excitement gleaming in his eyes, he eagerly begins to unwrap the gift, his thoughts filled with wonder about what she might have chosen. Meanwhile, Soon watches him, her eyes reflecting a mix of nervousness and tenderness. Soon reflects on how difficult it was to choose a gift for the CEO, especially since it wasn't something the chairman had instructed her to do. She walks through the department store, trying to avoid buying anything too flashy or expensive, wanting the gift to be thoughtful but not overly meaningful. She admits to herself that she's searching for a present that feels appropriate for a breakup, subtle yet meaningful. In the car, the CEO reacts with surprised interest as he opens the gift box. Inside the box lies a sleek, elegant fountain pen that immediately catches his attention. The CEO smiles and teases her with playful gratitude, while Soon wishes the pen will help him at work, though she doubts its uniqueness among his many possessions. He immediately begins to write something using the pen, holding it between his lips as he focuses with playful intent. With a mischievous grin, he hands her the note and declares it finished, building her anticipation. Soon's eyes widen in disbelief as she reads the words, Han Soon is a dummy, scribbled across the note. Flashback to when he asks her why she's so enamored, specifically, with his handwriting, and wonders if she'd love someone else more if their handwriting were better than his. Lying beside him, she smiles and questions why can't she just like it? She teases, telling him that all he should have said was, thank you for the compliment. When she was packing for the departure, she stared at her phone and reflected that things feel more bearable now, maybe because she believes this will bring closure. But now, a sudden wave of emotion crashes over her, and she trembles while reading his playful message again, Han Soon is a dummy. Overwhelmed, she clutches the note tightly, unable to suppress the rising tide of heartache. Tears spill from her eyes as she realizes she cannot accept that this could be the end of their relationship. He turns in surprise, wondering if his writing had such a strong emotional effect on her, until he senses something. The pen he used drops to the floor, symbolizing the unspoken tension that now hangs between them. Moved by emotion, So-eun closes the distance and kisses him, grasping his shirt as if to hold on to something slipping away. Blushing and breathless, he whispers her name in disbelief, stunned by her sudden kiss. With a tearful plea, she asks if they can go home now, her voice trembling with longing and desperation. He finally breaks the silence, teasingly asking if she's trying to seduce him. She responds boldly, asking why she can't act this way, and he admits it's simply a new side of her, one that leaves him stunned. With a small, affectionate smirk, he leans in and kisses her on the cheek, confessing that her boldness is adorable. So-eun looks surprised, but her eyes shine with a hint of happiness. Their hands find each other instinctively, fingers intertwining as he promises to take her home right away. So-eun sits in the passenger seat, lost in thought as the night passes outside the car window. Though her expression is calm, there's a shadow of doubt and internal conflict behind her flushed cheeks. Tae-jun drives with a gentle smile on his lips, quietly pleased with the turn of events. Tae-jun placed his head on the bathroom door, visibly upset, whining why can't they wash together? Why does she have to lock the door? So-eun, flustered, confronts Tae-jun behind the locked bathroom door, forbidding him from entering. Her voice asserts her boundary, though her shaken posture betrays inner turmoil. As she undresses herself, So-eun reflects on her emotional struggle every time she sees him. A whirlwind of sorrow, guilt, and anger clouds her heart, feelings that both warm and hurt her deeply. Water pours from the ceiling shower like a gentle cascade, filling the silent room. So-eun tells herself to calm down, desperate to regain control over her spiraling emotions, tears blending with the droplets on her face. Her flushed cheeks and pained expression reveal the emotional weight she's carrying. Wrapped in a towel, So-eun hesitantly opens the bathroom door, startled to Tae-jun facing the mirror. The man smirks to himself while holding a hairdryer, playfully wondering if he should eliminate all other bathrooms just to force them into more shared moments. His expression shifts from amusement to sudden realization as something captures his attention in the reflection. There's a flicker of surprise in his gaze. With a confident and charming look, he turns toward her, lifting the hairdryer like an invitation. His voice is bold and teasing as he commands, "Come here." So-eun, still tearful, steadies herself and whispers encouragement to not cry or dwell on things. Determined yet fragile, she takes a deep breath and begins walking forward, her resolve quietly growing. Standing behind her, he gently dries her hair, the tension between them now softened by the quiet intimacy. So-eun, still puzzled and emotional, wonders silently why he likes her so much, unable to understand the depth of his affection. She wonders how he even wants to meet again with her after everything that happened. She knows that if she brings it up, he will just call her dumb. But he's even dumber in this case. Tae-jun, looking content, inwardly teases that she looks like a Tibetan fox. Overcome with emotion, So-eun closes the distance and kisses him deeply. Her action catches him by surprise, but he responds with soft surrender. Their embrace grows more intense, her hand tracing his fine abs she presses against him. The moment becomes heavier with silent longing and vulnerability. His eyes widen with realization and a sharp breath escapes him, overwhelmed by the sudden intimacy. A flush spreads across his cheeks as his heart races. He sat up abruptly as he asked why she's acting differently today. She responds with a question, wondering if he dislikes it, but he admits that something about her feels different, though not in a bad way. He looks away, avoiding her eyes as he tries to make sense of his conflicted feelings. His expression is tense, touched with confusion and something unspoken. She gently asks if this change is necessarily a bad thing. Shyly gazing away, he admits he liked it, but what should he do if he likes it too much? He doesn't think he should get used to it. So-eun gazes at him with widened eyes, stunned and slightly anxious. A blush colors her cheeks as she processes his words, unsure how to respond to his vulnerable honesty. Their bodies draw closer in a moment of heated vulnerability, tension thick in the air as emotions blur the lines between hesitation and surrender. Her hand clenches the sheets, grounding herself amid the intensity. She apologized internally. She wishes she could give him everything, but, in the end, there's nothing she can give him. To the one who gave more to her life, she has nothing to give in return to him for doing even more for her than her parents ever did. He exhales shakily, sweat dripping down his flushed skin as he struggles to steady himself. His expression reveals a mix of restraint, vulnerability, and emotional weight. Her lips quiver as her face lowers, hair falling over her eyes. There's an ache behind her silence, and her heart feels both pulled in and torn apart. A tear escapes the corner of her eye as she bites back a cry, the pain surfacing through her trembling breath. Despite the closeness, her emotions remain tangled and raw. In a peaceful memory or a hopeful future, the two of them stand side by side at the edge of a glowing ocean, hands entwined. The golden sunset bathes them in warmth, silently honoring the depth of their connection. A gentle touch reaches for the other, yet the distance between them hints at something slipping away. The words beneath reveal a painful truth. To my one and only love, I don't think I will ever get to love someone as much as I love you. Her eye wells up with tears, a single droplet falling as sorrow takes hold. The love she feels is overwhelming, spilling out through her silent grief. He suddenly flipped over her, hovering above, breathless and wide-eyed, while she lay beneath him with parted lips and a startled gaze. Her foot spasms, jolting with a sharp reaction. A breathless cry escapes her lips, the scene charged with sensation and unspoken emotion. Tears spill from So-eun's eyes as she covers her face, overwhelmed and trembling. Her vulnerability breaks through the intimate tension, exposing a wound she can no longer hide. Concerned, he asks if she's in pain, his brows furrowed with worry. Her shoulders tremble as she faces away, unable to meet his gaze. He promises to be gentle and reassures her not to cry. Internally, So-eun confesses her true feelings. She likes him deeply and wishes she had the courage to say everything her heart is screaming. I like you. I really, really like you. I love you. I wish I could say all of that to you. He leans forward and kisses the tear that clings to her eye. The gesture is soft and full of unspoken affection, a silent response to her inner confession. Smiling warmly, he gazes into her tear-filled eyes and whispers, I love you. The sincerity in his voice stuns her, meeting her unspoken longing with an open heart. So-eun gazes at him through tear-filled eyes, her expression trembling between surprise and disbelief. Her heart races as she tries to absorb the weight of his confession. A soft smile finally blooms through her tears, filled with warmth and emotional release. In that moment, the pain she carried begins to melt into acceptance and fragile joy. Overcome with emotion, So-eun wraps her arms around him, clinging to the sincerity she now fully believes. The sudden embrace catches him off guard but speaks louder than words. Their eyes meet up close as they lie together, the intimacy between them now mingled with vulnerability and trust. With the city lights glittering outside the tall windows, they hold each other in a quiet embrace. The night wraps around them like a gentle curtain, shielding their moment of healing and connection. Dressed in a robe, he steps into the room with a confused expression, catching something unexpected off guard. The calm ambience is broken by his puzzled, as he looks ahead. So-eun, holding a glass of water, teases him about his eagerness to wash up, suggesting he must have been really thirsty. Her casual tone contrasts with his startled reaction as she hands him the drink. She explains that she wanted to return the favor for once, since he always gets water for her. Offering him the glass, she softly insists he take it, while he jokes if it's his birthday, given her sweet gesture. He drinks from the cup slowly, his movements calm and composed. So-eun lowers her gaze, her expression tightening with unease. Something in the moment has shifted, and she seems lost in conflicted thoughts. Without a word, she begins walking, her slippers softly tapping the floor. Her quiet steps hint at hesitation or a change of heart. Stopping in front of him, she looks up and asks if she can join him at the gym the next day. Her question surprises him, and his body stiffens slightly in response. With sincerity, So-eun explains she wants to watch him exercise and try his routine herself. Her tone is earnest, almost affectionate, as she opens a door to connection beyond just emotions. He turns slightly, blushing at her words. Struggling to hide how moved he is, he suggests they sleep early so they can go to the gym together in the morning. Smiling softly, he agrees, his expression warm and content. There's a quiet joy in his response, as if her simple request meant more than she realized. He gently cups her face, worriedly asking if she's sure she can exercise in her condition. She assures him with a light-hearted smile that she won't push herself too hard, but his concern lingers. Her smile fades as a bead of sweat runs down her cheek. Her wide, anxious eyes suggest she's hiding something beneath her calm response. A voice echoes ominously. She only needs to make him drink a glass of water. The instruction is simple, yet heavy with implication. The chairman explains that once Tae-jun drinks the water, he will fall asleep within an hour, enough time to execute their plan. The woman listens, visibly distressed and conflicted. He reassures her that everything is for Tae-jun's sake, speaking with a calm smile. But behind that composed face lies manipulation cloaked as concern. As night falls, someone reflects that Tae-jun's birthday is approaching, setting a contemplative and somber mood. Tae-jun lies in bed, half asleep, mulling over how fast a month will pass. He asks what she would like to do and quietly suggests they take a secret vacation together. She smiles faintly, her tone soft and playful, but her words carry a trace of worry. What if they get caught? Tae-jun mumbles in his sleep, unconsciously agreeing and asking someone to tell Miss Bo-bae to take a vacation too. She reflected on how he constantly spoke of the future, painting hopeful pictures of what lies ahead. The two are shown walking side by side, with her gazing at him quietly, touched by his dreams. He envisioned summers together, excited for her to wear the new clothes he picked for her. Behind his sweet gestures, her face begins to reveal a subtle sadness as reality conflicts with his optimistic promises. He once dreamed of marrying her after 10 years of dating, imagining a steady love that stood the test of time. Now she understood what all of those promises, resolutions, and requests truly meant. Lying beside him in bed, she gently cradles his face, finally understanding the vulnerability behind his convictions. He simply wished not to lose her, to keep her close in every possible way. After hours, she quietly opened the apartment. She steps out in a hoodie, carrying her bag. Her silent departure underlines a painful decision. The chairman had instructed that before leaving, she must steal something valuable from Tae-jun. He commands her to be ruthless, emphasizing that all that should remain is resentment. Despite knowing it will be difficult, he demands cruelty from her to sever the bond completely. So-eun stands in a hoodie, torn between loyalty and obligation, as she stares at Tae-jun's belongings. Her inner turmoil is clear as she hesitates, wondering if she should steal something as instructed. As she shifts her weight, a drawer opens slightly, revealing a blue envelope peeking out. The unexpected sight catches her off guard and piques her curiosity. Startled and tense, So-eun quickly bends down to get a better look, sweat forming on her temple. Her expression shows a mix of fear and urgency, unsure of what she's about to discover. She pulls out the envelope and reads the label. It's addressed to Han So-eun from the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in the Philippines. Confusion and shock flood her face as she questions why this document is hidden here. So-eun's eyes widen, and her heartbeat quickens as she begins to piece things together. Her gaze sharpens, fixating on the name, the embassy, and the implication of secrets kept from her. She then uncovers a death certificate from the Philippine Civil Registrar, confirming the death of her father, Han Hong-yu. The document reveals that he was found deceased, and the information had been kept from her until now, leaving her in stunned silence. She quietly approaches the bedroom, pausing at the door with hesitation. The man she loves lies asleep, unaware of what she has just learned. Her footsteps are soft as she walks in. Tae-jun sleeps soundly, vulnerable and peaceful, his guard completely down. So-eun stands over him, her face solemn and conflicted. The intimacy of the moment contrasts with the weight of her discovery. Looking at his resting face, she quietly questions why he kept the truth from her. But in her heart, she already understands the reason. With softened eyes, she reflects that Tae-jun must have feared the news would hurt her or make her sick. His silence came from love and worry. Reaching toward him with trembling fingers, she stops midair. Her hand clenches into a fist instead of reaching out, as she finally realizes he knew. He knew all along and carried the burden alone. Sitting by his side, she gazes at him one last time and whispers her confession, "I love you." Later, So-eun rides in a car with Chairman's secretary. He informs her she'll be leaving for New York and offers his help should she need anything. She suddenly asks if it's safe to take sleeping pills, her tone heavy with emotional fatigue. He pauses in silence. The man answers with forced calm through the rearview mirror, telling her she doesn't need to worry, addressing her formally as Miss Han-sung. She reflects aloud, suggesting he inform the chairman of her departure. But internally, she believes the chairman doesn't care about her at all. A phone call with the chairman confirms her departure from the CEO's house. The chairman casually praises the assistant's effort and signs off coldly. The chairman's words echo hollowly. He urges her not to worry about anything and to go live comfortably in a good place. Her heart aches at the phrase, a good place. She repeats it bitterly, as if questioning its meaning. So-eun thinks to herself that the person she loves the most is still here, so no place without him could ever be a good place. While in the car, the chairman tells her to reach out to Secretary Kim Han-sung if she experiences any difficulties during her trip. So-eun, however, interrupts him with a heavy tone, addressing him directly. She brings up the past conversation, recalling how the chairman once spoke as if the CEO were capable of murder. She firmly states that she doesn't believe that to be true. Looking at her packed bag, she questions the chairman's motives, asserting that the CEO swore he never did such a thing. She can't see any reason to believe otherwise and demands clarity. So-eun becomes emotionally overwhelmed, questioning why she should be forced to abandon the CEO after giving up everything. Her trembling hands and cracking voice reveal her inner struggle and doubt. She confesses that she only believed the accusations because the chairman made her think they were true. Her tightening grip symbolizes her rising anger and heartbreak. So-eun finally explodes in frustration, accusing the chairman of desperately framing his own grandson as a murderer. Her scream cuts through the tension. He must have been desperate to separate her from him.